Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the app today.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Hello and welcome back to Crime and Sports.
It's been so long. This is great.
Yay.
Yay.
Traditional. There you go. Yay.
I'm so excited.
My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my giggling co-host.
Yes. I'm Jimmie Whisman.
There you go. You got to shout that out. You almost forgot.
Been so long.
It's been a week and a half since we've recorded.
Yeah.
We had one kind of stored. We had some
So
schedule
fucking jazzed
conflicts.
today.
So we are so psyched. Thank you so much for joining us. New listeners, you've picked the gem of the lot. I got to tell you,
Welcome
this is your
back,
first one.
and welcome new people.
Wow, do we have a story tonight? I say it every week, and I say it every week. But honestly, this has classic potential here. This man, to describe him in a math equation, is Evangelus Goosis plus Tommy Morrison divided by Murph the Surf, and you have this man.
I love this so much.
That's what this guy is.
I love when you do math equations to break down somebody's character flaw.
That's what it is. What it is, man. He's a psychopath.
So
of
good.
Epic proportions. Before we get into that, just want to thank everybody for the iTunes reviews this week. Everybody, thank you so much. That means the world to us. Please, if you haven't done that yet, or if you're a new listener, give us a break here. Get on, sign in. It takes 30 seconds. Give us 5 stars. Tell us you're following instructions, whatever inside jargon you want to throw around from the show, whatever you want to do. But thank you. We really appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
And wow, let's get down to business because Jimmie, this guy, whoa, he's a trip, man. Let's get right into it. He is a fighter by nature and by trade. His name is Lee Brahim Murray Lamrani.
Jesus.
Lee Murray, we're
That's
going to call it.
That's a lot
of names. Lee Murray is what he goes by.
Right.
He's a MMA fighter and had one UFC fight, actually. Just one, and they wanted to have more. They wanted him for more, and he wanted to have more.
Oh, they wanted it.
But there was a problem.
They were not going to get it.
There's several problems with this man, we'll just say. He's a loon. It all started on November 12th, 1977. Oh. When he's born in Greenwich, London, England.
Really?
Yes, he's born.
He's an MMA fighter from England.
He's an English fella.
All
That's kind of the funny thing, too, is there's an interesting confrontation he has later on. It's like, hey, dude got his ass kicked by an English MMA guy. This guy's no joke. There's certain guys that we do. Most of the guys we do are either harmless or they're not harmless to the general public, but they're not going to come kill us. You know what I mean? Or they're dead, or they're in prison for life, or I try to do
safe.
I try to do dead fighters usually. You know what I mean? Your Monzones, your Tommy Morrisons, people who are infirmed or dead, Ayala, guys who can't hurt us, basically.
Where our children's lives their safety and their life is not at stake.
Every time I see an open Jeep with a biker-looking guy in it, I think it's Krotoru, so I'm frightened there.
Oh, there's so many.
This man, I'm scared of this man.
Oh boy!
Ever finding out about this and listening to it because it's not going to end well.
The thing
for
is
us.
that lunatics often Google themselves. They do. They look for themselves. And if we make this thing successful, it's already successful enough for him to find us. It's going to happen.
Yeah, he could find us.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it.
He's born to a British mother and a Moroccan father. Oh. His father is from Morocco. His mother's from what
was his birth-given name? Last name? Ibrahim?
It's Lee Brahim Murray Lamrani. It's a hyphenated Murray Lamrani.
And Brahim is his first middle name.
It's like they gave him a Moroccan name and a British name. Okay. Like it's like they gave him one of each or something. I don't know how people name.
That's weird.
It's an interesting deal, but he just goes by Lee Murray.
Okay.
He doesn't want to confuse things.
Skips all that bullshit.
Doesn't want to confuse things. Grows up in London with his mother and a little sister. His father wasn't around until he was 7. His father, which is a good thing for him. Yeah. This is another one of these perennial question that we ask. Is it better for the father to stick around and beat the holy shit out of everyone in the house, or just leave when they're 2 and abandon the family for, to live with the rats or something? Which is worse? We're not sure, but in this case, he got a touch of both, lucky guy.
All right.
So his father is working in the Canary Islands and all around. He's a dishwasher. I don't know why he couldn't wash dishes.
He's a traveling dishwasher?
In the UK. It must have really, really good salaries for Canary Island dishwashers.
They got better soap there.
They got excellent soap. It's harsher. They have a really hard water. You need a special kind of hand.
They got a union and all that shit.
Only the Moroccan hand. They're like dish Sherpas of the Canary Islands. Only the Moroccan hand. Only the Sherpas can. Only their lungs can take Everest. Yeah. It's the same thing with Moroccan dishwashing hands. Sorry, Morocco.
They don't wrinkle.
We'll be offending the UK and Morocco. We apologize. UK, we love you, and fuck off. You love that shit, and we love you, so it's all good. So his father ends up moving back with them to England at age 7 for Lee, which, like I said, but we're going to find out what's worse.
Right.
We got a little of both. I think it was better off without him.
I think peppering both ends is going to shape him perfectly for us.
Oh, for us. He makes a hell of a tale. So thanks, Lee's father, I guess you could say, in a horrible, horrible, shitty way. That makes me feel awful for saying it, but we wouldn't be laughing right now without this. We wouldn't be laughing for the next hour and a half if it wasn't for his father. A friend of Lee's named, and he's going to come up for a long time, and I love his name, Paul the Enforcer Allen.
Oh boy!
Some guy's named the Enforcer. He's gonna.
I want that to be like on his birth
certificate. That's scary. I have to make an Arn Anderson reference for any wrestling fans out there. But yeah, Paul the Enforcer Allen. Right. He says this of Lee's father, quote, "He was an absolute lunatic of a man. He used to beat the living daylights out of Lee as a child."
That's a man whose nickname is the Enforcer.
The Enforcer. And he said, that guy's a lunatic.
That guy's crazy.
Shit, I'm not going to enforce him. I will not enforce that man. He's crazy. So early on, this is a neighbor. So he's beating him, senseless as he grows larger.
Yeah.
And finally, a neighbor described when Lee had enough of his father. Apparently, there was a neighbor there, and he later on was asked, and he said the father, quote, actually went and hit Lee, and Lee snapped. Just turned around and knocked his dad clean out. Once he realized he could take down a big man like that, I think that's what changed Lee into the man he is now, a thug.
Yes, yes.
And he is a thug, and he's fearless.
The first time you want to fight, though...
This is the most fearless guy.
The first time you want to fight, though, there's something like... You size that person up and you know what you're up against and what you can take.
It flipped a switch, apparently, for
awesome.
him. And this is like... This guy isn't... This isn't like... Tommy Morrison knocking college students off a bar stool for looking at him when he's in a, when he's a movie star. Like, this isn't that. This guy fights anybody and everybody. He
just knocked out the guy.
Yeah, he later on says, people call me a bully, but I'm not a bully. A bully goes after easy targets. I go after all the targets. So if I happen to get an easy one in there once in a while, fine, but I cast a wide net, basically. I don't know what to tell you.
It's not my fault.
I cast a wide ass-kicking net. That's what it is. So the father eventually moves out because he said he feared that if he stayed, him and Lee would kill each other, basically. One of them was going to end up dead because now they're both big men fighting in a house. You can't have that. That's
crazy.
That's not going to last long, and the father's a drunk, too, which isn't going to help either.
That lets you know that this boy is already fucked up.
Oh, he's fucked up big time, and his surroundings don't help. They move, and he ends up growing up in the Barnfield Projects. This is in South End London, and this is a shit area, apparently. Like Gavin Grant, we covered him. This is a lousy area, and from what all these people are interviewed, this isn't quaint cobblestone England for all you U.S.
gas lamps and shit like that.
Yeah, this is not people tipping their caps to each other and spinning a pocket watch around. That's not what this is. This is some thug shit.
A black cane with a white tip on the end, and they're spinning it saying good day.
Picture Baltimore with a proper accent, and that's what you got here. A posh Baltimore that's not so fucking posh,
that's
basically.
Hilarious.
It's like The Wire with accent. If they let everyone in The Wire who had a British accent use them, that's what it would be like. So he starts running, this is mid-1990s here, he's in his teen years, starts running with a local street gang. Now, I have to say something. The local street gang, they call themselves the Barney Boys.
I was going to guess something else, but it wasn't going to be any dumber than that.
The Barney Boy... Hey, let me give you a word of advice, British people, British gangsters. If you're out there and you're running around committing crimes in Britain, first of all, stop. But if you're not going to stop, do this for me. Name your gang something better. Right. You guys when you end up getting arrested, as you're all going to get arrested someday, and it's going to be in the paper, and you guys are going to have a piss-poor gang name like the Barney Boys, which is it's like gang names that we had in like the 1870s in the U.S. You know what I mean? Like the Brown Derby Gang. That's what they have, shit like that. We have like the decapitating fucking blood drainers, and they're like, we're the Barney Boys. Doesn't sound as... Pick a tough name.
Motorcycle gangs here are terrifying names.
They're terrifying.
Like Hell's Angels and the Mongols. That scares the fuck out of me.
The Barney Boys sounds
not so much.
Like... No.
We've got it. Listen, English folks, we have a television show here for children called Barney and Friends, and it's a big purple dinosaur that loves to hug people.
It sounds like the most they do is steal an apple from the fruit stand on the corner once in a while. Hey, I got an apple, and he's like, hey, good job.
I got 3 nickels out of that guy's pocket.
Hey, all right. Yeah, they talk like that. Even though they're British, they still talk like that. Yeah, see? I got 3 nickels. Yeah, see? So Murray is really, really, really into American gangsters. Mm-hmm. He is obsessed with the whole American gangster culture. He reads every book he can get his hands on American gangsters, especially John Gotti. Yeah. John Gotti's his hero.
I don't blame him.
He fucking loves John Gotti, I grew up in New York watching I remember all the trials. Watching the news, and it was a big deal, and he would have the trial, and he'd get off, and we were like, this fucking, we're Italian, and my grandma was like, good, they're trying to mess with him.
Right. Stop messing with that nice gentleman in the business
suit. He's nice. He throws parties for the neighborhood. It's fine. He's dressed nice. His hair's in place. Leave him alone. That's what it was.
Spaghetti and chicken parm. That's all.
Drives a nice car. Leave him alone. So he loved John Gotti. He was a big fan of his and every other gangster. He's known as the most badass guy with his hands in the whole area, in this whole shithole area.
Lee Murray is the one. He's the one you don't want to fight.
And he's not a huge guy. He grows up. When he grows up, he's 6'3", 185. So he's basically an inch shorter than me and fucking 5 pounds lighter. Right. So he's like me basically. Right. He's a lanky.
He's a wiry fuck.
He's a
that can throw hands.
Could he hit like a bastard? Friends tell reporters about a time. This is a story that keeps coming up where he single-handedly fought off 9 bouncers at a London disco.
Jesus.
Kind of for fun because he liked fighting and they were there and wanting to fight with him. So he's like, hey, great, I get to fight 9 guys now. The one friend said, quote, left them sleeping in the doorway like babies.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's the type of dude we're dealing with here. This is not a stable or a normal individual.
How many guys have you fought at once before?
Not 9. I'll tell you that much.
That's where I was going with that.
Not
that
9.
is a lot of fucking people.
Especially they're bouncers. You have an option to leave and not have to fight 9 guys.
Right.
He said, I'm going to stay and fight 9 guys.
You don't even have to fight one.
Yeah.
Like their whole job is just to get you to leave. That's it.
If you leave, they're
not going to throw hands.
You, but 9 of you,
he tells each and every one of them to put up their dick beaters and let's throw down. And he wants to actually fight.
And he's fighting them
9 guys.
Yeah, like a goddamn Bruce Lee movie.
That's bizarre.
Punching. He begins fighting on the streets. Basically, they start having unorganized. Like you'd have a wiffle ball game in your neighborhood. Yeah. They would have street fights.
Like Kimbo Slice.
They would, that's what they did. And his friend called it MMA on the streets, was what he called it. And this guy would referee the fights, one of his buddies here. And he said, quote, I never saw Lee lose.
I'm sure he didn't.
He's just a bad motherfucker.
Because there's only one fucking person in that ring. It's not 10.
It's not 9, yeah. And so Mark Epstein is his...
9? Fuck 9. We know he can beat 9.
We know he can beat 9.
It's not 11.
One in the street who's not even trained for anything. He's just a street guy. So there's a guy named Mark Epstein. Now, he's the leader of the gang that he's running with at this point, and he's a big guy, and he's the guy who would referee
Epstein's the leader of the Barney Boys.
He's the leader, I guess, the leader of the Barney Boys. It's not a glorious title, but whatever. We'll let him roll with it. But he said about Murray, quote, this is about him in the gang, quote, Lee was one of the younger lot, the youngers we called them. He was a feared guy, you know. He's not someone you take lightly at all. I mean, there was plenty of gunplay, drugs and stuff. I mean, he's his own guy. When you start getting to a certain level, it's a dangerous game you play.
There's a lot of gunplay.
Gunplay and all sorts of shit. Yeah, this is some serious shit. They're in for... Epstein ends up saying later that he shot a guy once over 200 kilos of coke. Epstein did. So This is the kind of... They're dealing in large-scale drug dealing here, violence, and these are bad dudes, basically. We got
this is before he got into MMA.
We haven't even gotten to sports at all yet. And there's not a lot of it.
He's already in crime.
No, he's in crime from day one and will be in crime until the last moment that we go off the air here. I'm telling you. 95-ish, he spends time in, or 93, 4, he spends time in a juvenile detention center for drugs.
At 16 years old.
Yeah, he had a couple of possession things, and I think attempted sale or some shit, and he ended up, but there's records, it's a juvenile thing, so we can't find out exactly, but his friend said he definitely did time in a detention center. He did like 6 months.
At 16 years old, he's already in jail for drugs.
That's the type of, and they said he was slick, too. Epstein kept saying, later on, 1997, Epstein goes to jail for selling heroin and crack. Like,
what?
Large scale, Epstein, his buddy. And most of the gang went down except for Epstein, except for Murray. And Epstein was like, man, he's slick. He was like the only guy who got through that net.
How to get out of it.
I don't know how he got through it, but hey, good for him, basically.
He told the cops, look, there's only 2 of you in here, and I can fight 9 guys.
I can fight 9 of you. And you don't have guns over here, like at the
You guys
the
have
ready.
billy clubs and electronic devices.
I love that.
Just let me out.
I will take that from you and knock you over the head with it.
Leave you sleeping in hallways like babies.
Like babies. I love that quote.
That's awesome.
There's so many more quotes about him beating people and fighting people. He fights so much, this guy.
I want to meet him.
You don't want to meet him.
No, I don't want to meet him.
He seems like, well, you know what? You'd want to meet him now. You're not going to want to meet him once this goes out
Right
into
now,
the
he's
world.
super interesting to me.
Right now, he's very interesting. And you're going to want to hear about him and possibly talk to him, but use an alias, just in case, because he will kill both of us.
Tony Stark, that's
He will
me.
kill both of us at the same time, this fucking guy. So Lee assumes one of the leadership roles in the gang when Epstein goes away, because he was like kind of the big man and they needed some people to step in for him. Lee steps in here. Now he's running with the gang at this point, doing dick basically. Now he has a child here on Christmas Eve 1998. December 24th, 1998, Lee's girlfriend, Siobhan, gives birth to their first child. It's a daughter named Lily Jane.
He's 21 years old.
He's 21.
He's a drug runner and a father.
And he's out
and a bad man
fighting and getting shot at probably and everything else, and he's out there having
there's gunplay.
There's gunplay. So 99, he tries to he doesn't try to clean it up, but he tries to take another path. I wouldn't say he diverts his path. He just kind of takes his drugs, puts them on his back, and goes down sort of an alternate route for a minute here.
Maybe he's thinking about his baby.
That's the thing, and I think he realizes, I'm a good fighter. Maybe I can do something with this besides... Because it was also, too, you're seeing your friends go to prison. Epstein went away for 3 years for that drug bid. That's
a tough thing when you're 21 years old.
Yeah, and you just had a baby especially. Right. Maybe you don't want to go to prison there. But he continues drug dealing through this whole time.
Because that's what's paying the bills.
99, he starts going to an MMA gym there called London Shoot Fighters. The owner, Alex Demetriadis, said when Lee came in, he said about him, quote, he was a little demonic looking. That was his quote about him. So, he said that Lee had broken every finger in both his hands at least once, so his knuckles were completely calcified and rock hard. Said, quote, everything Lee touched broke. So basically, if he fucking hit you, you were going to be...
He's King Midas of breaking things.
He's just going to break shit.
Yeah.
King Midas of breaking shit. Yeah, exactly. That's what he is, the opposite.
Yeah.
So he keeps doing this. He makes his fighting debut, his MMA debut in England. And they're fighting in beer halls. So this is like...
This is grimy.
This is grimy. This is like if you've seen No Holds Barred. Before they put it on television and they went to the bar and there was Zeus throwing old wrestlers around. That's what this is, basically. Except in England. So they have better accents. That's all it is.
They really do.
Better accents.
I love that accent so much.
And it's funny, he's got such hard bones, you'd imagine, because the lack of calcium over there, as we discussed with Gavin Grant. We know you get calcium first floor, second floor.
Right, we get it.
Still.
It's still funny.
It's funny. Eat your fucking cheese, guys. Let's go.
It's not funny to you because it's about you.
Yeah, but goddamn it, it's funny to us.
Have some feta.
Have some, just something. A little mozzarella. So it says May 5th, 1999, he makes his debut. He knocks out Rob Hudson, who I couldn't find out anything about this guy. There's no link to him because he's a nobody. But
Weird.
Knocks the shit out of this guy in the first round pretty quickly with punches, it says. He beats the piss out of him, basically.
With his calcium clubs.
With his calcium clubs, he's hitting him, just cheese hands coming at you. So he becomes a hit in the early days of his fighting with the beer hall people where all the fights take place, because he's a crazy son of a bitch, and they can tell he's crazy, and they can tell he's a badass.
He looks demonic.
Yeah, and the people take to him, right.
Have you ever described anybody as he looked a little demonic?
He's a little demonic looking.
I've never heard
Especially
that.
A fight trainer, because they're not one to be all, they're not going to say anything. That guy wasn't so tough.
Right.
But he looked a little demonic, this guy. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie, he looked a little demonic. I was kind of frightened of him.
In a few words, tell me about him. Demonic.
I didn't even want to train him, but I was frightened to say no, so I just did it.
He'd kill me.
I just did it. So he would wear, outside the ring, because he's drug dealing and all this shit, he would wear like fancy silk shirts and mink coats.
Yeah.
All the time.
Very John Gotti.
He would be, he was very, very, very flashy. We'll get into his flash later on. So he starts to get a little press attention for that, and he also gets some attention from the people hanging around places because they don't think he's that tough because of the way he dresses.
Oh, God.
They question
They're
him a
calling
little.
him like a fairy and shit.
Dimitriadis, the trainer.
His loafers.
He's a little like, yeah, that's what they thought. They thought wrong.
Uh-oh. Which I hit you with the stalagmite.
Dimitriadis said of him, quote, he got in fights with strangers because they saw the way he dressed and thought he was a pushover. They should have looked at the cuts on his face.
That's what I'm looking
this dude
at.
is battle scarred. It must have been a dark bar because,
England, you guys got to stop judging by a shirt.
I would
stop
say
that.
Get less drunk, too, would be a thing, because if you can't see, if you have to hold one hand over one eye to see scars on this guy's face to go, wow, he fights a lot. Those hands look like rocks. I don't know.
You don't see the 3-inch gash over his eyebrow?
So here's a little anecdote about his fighting. On February 28th, 2000, he is, now this is the night before he has a fight. The night before his second professional fight, he goes out to a pub to watch a boxing match. It's Prince Nassim Hamed. I don't know if you remember him. He's a little guy, I think he fought at like 119. He was a little guy like that. He was a champ for a while.
Featherweight?
Very exciting little fighter. He'd do like a flip into the ring, like
over the ropes. That rings a bell.
He was really like, he would hold his hands down. He was flashy, and eventually he got his ass kicked. But he was a really nasty, quick son of a bitch for a while, and he was a British fellow also, and so they would apparently go support the home team here. And he goes to the pub to watch the fight that night. Apparently another bar patron is blocking his view, and so they have a little exchange, a few words. Yep. This guy has no idea who... This is a lesson to you out there, people who like... And I'm serious. If you guys... Because I'm sure we have some sports guys that listen to us, like guys that like to go out and have a few beers. Watch who you fucking mouth off to, because you don't know. You see some guy who's a thin guy. He doesn't look that like shit. He's got a fur coat on, a big fucking coat, and a silk shirt.
Darren Sproles is 5'7". I'll bet he could kick the fuck out of me.
He's thick though. This guy, you'd look at him and go, who's this skinny shit in a silk shirt and a fur coat? I'm not gonna blah blah blah. And then he knocks you silly.
I've seen plenty of guys that are 5'7" that are all swole, and in your head you just go, who does this little douche think he is?
Yeah, well, this guy's
clearly overcompensating.
They think this guy is skinny and not one, and someone whose bar stool you can take apparently. And they tried to, and it didn't work out.
They tried to take his bar stool.
Yeah, they argued over a seat. The guy said it was his seat. Murray said, "Oh no, I was sitting there," and they had a little argument. So Murray knocked him out with one punch.
I love it.
So man's friend comes over, knocks him out too. Next thing you know, bartender comes over the bar. Murray said, I'm tired of using my hands right now. I'm going to start with my knees. And grabbed the bartender and just
signed him.
Just knee smashed the shit out of him. Just apparently knee lifted him. Knocked him out too. Basically just cleared probably stood there and said, anybody else, I'm sure? Anybody else in the TGI Fridays want a piece?
Yeah. So where are the other 6?
That's 3 down, so 9 more. Bring it. So he hurts his left hand in this fight though. Hits a guy pretty square, hurts his left hand.
Chipped off some stalagmite?
Apparently so. When he wakes up March 1st, 2000, the next morning, he can't close his hand. His hand is completely fucked, and he's got to fight that day. So that's not great. A friend of his and other MMA fighter named Dexter Casey saw it and told him, dude, that's broken, go to the hospital. You're not going to fight tonight. He said, I'm fine, taped up the hand, and went and fought. Anyway, don't worry about it. After a little scraping in the beginning, just started assaulting the shit out of him with right hands and ended up submitting the guy in 56 seconds. So 56 seconds, Mike Tomlinson goes down.
So everybody probably just assumes he broke his hand in that fight.
They didn't know. He just beat this guy so silly in a minute that he didn't need a left hand, basically. This guy was a tomato can, and he had his way with him. So now he's 2-0. Now on this fight, we have our first, in their own words.
Fantastic.
In their own words from Lee Murray here. He said, quote, In their own words, quote, I caught him with a few good rights. He was rocked, so he took me down, and I caught him in a key lock on the ground and won the fight. After that, I went to the hospital and got my hand plastered. It was broken 2 places. So he was like, after that, I took a little trip to the hospital to celebrate. It was fun. Had a really good time. I like going to the hospital after a fight.
Most people spray champagne. I spray fucking painkillers.
I stop by the lidocaine in the air, put it in the air. It's good. You know what I mean? It's a little topical, baby. So now 2000, after his first 2 fights and after this whole mess, and I assume after his hand healed up a little bit, he heads to Bettendorf, Iowa.
What?
Comes over to the States.
That's a fascinating fucking
Didn't expect
landing.
That, did you?
Yeah.
You expected maybe...
Didn't know they had an airport.
Really. Yeah, I don't know where maybe he flew into Des Moines. I'm not sure. I assume there was a stopover in Buffalo. I don't know what happened. I doubt it was a non-stop to Bettendorf. Heathrow to Bettendorf one way. What does that flight cost you? So he goes there to train. Apparently there's a really great MMA trainer and especially a grappling trainer named Pat Miletich that lives there, and he's a famous MMA trainer. Okay. He trained a bunch of guys that were champs later on and things like that. Miletich said of him, of Murray, he said, quote, he was physically a very gifted guy, very fast, very strong. He would have probably been a world champion. So
would have been. That already lets you know shit's going to go awry.
Shit will go. I'm tell you right now, no surprises. He's going to start doing well, and shit's going to go awry. You surprised? I didn't think so. Let's continue. Anybody shocked? Anybody put down their phone and just be like, oh shit.
No.
I thought he was going to go on and be a success, and I thought his crime was over with. He got sent away to juvie when he was a kid for the drugs. I figured that was it.
It's all rebound story.
Now it's a really nice story. It's going to be Willie Mays Aikens is going to find his ring and everybody's going to be happy. Nope. Let's see here.
Not happening.
Another MMA fighter, Robbie Lawler, said of Murray when he came to Iowa, quote, Lee Murray had world-class punching power. Man, he would hit the mitts, pop, 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 and you would stop your workout because it sounded like gunfire.
Awesome.
So that's cool when you get a guy. That's like in baseball when you hear that pop in the mitt and everyone goes,
what was that?
Who threw that?
Who threw that here?
Yeah, holy shit, that thing hit the glove like different than other people's. Yeah. So he takes his skills on June 17th, 2000. While he's in the U.S., he makes his U.S. debut, fights over here in the glorious, absolutely the lavish, the decadent location of Hayward, Wisconsin, which I have no fucking idea where that is. That's a small town in a state full of cows and cheese, and that's it, and 12 people.
And the cows are the women.
Sorry, Wisconsin.
Right.
Oh, that was bad. And Jimmie's mocking your women. You can reach Jimmie at Whisman Sucks on Twitter. Let's keep that one off the Crime and Sports page. So you can send that directly to Jimmie.
Directly to me.
Save us all some. So that way I don't get tagged and I have to look at it and call him and be like, dude, what did you say? I don't even fucking remember.
Hate Mo, welcome.
So, sorry, Wisconsin women. You're all very, very attractive.
My sister lived there, and she gained a shitload of weight just living there.
It's fine. No, it's no problem. It's freezing out, and they have tons of dairy and beer. What do you expect? It's not their fault, honestly.
Sausage, beer, cheese.
You can't go outside 8 months out of the year, and you have food. What are you supposed to do? Right. So he wins a fight against Chris Albandia. Wins by submission in 2 minutes, 23 seconds in the first round. So U.S. debut is set. He's 3-0. Not bad, right?
He's on a roll.
He's on a roll. Now, while he's fighting, he's making very little money.
Yeah, my head was just going that route. Like in the UK,
he's
making money with the drugs. Mm-hmm. Here, he doesn't know who the fuck to sell to.
No, and he's only over here training for a few months anyway. So, I mean, he's still, though, even though he's making, who knows, he's making off a beer hall fight and some thing in Hayward, Wisconsin. How many
he's
people
winning,
could
but
be
how
there
much
to watch
can you?
That?
Right.
How many people could be? What could the gate be to split among the fighters? Honestly,
what is that purse?
Yeah, come on, dude. So. Still, though, he's able to afford a really nice house for Siobhan and the daughter in the suburbs over there. Epstein said of him, his buddy Epstein from the gang said, quote, Lee had his fingers in a lot of pies that interested the police.
Oh, shit.
So they are aware of him. Everybody's aware of what he's doing. He said that,
figured out, I've got to find somewhere to move drugs.
Absolutely. He said that Murray's often followed around the police in Kent by the police, that they're just seeing what he's doing because they know he's up to something, because he's always up to something. He's selling drugs, he's doing something. And this is nothing, too. He's done nothing. What he does in crime, by the way, is the biggest thing that anyone's ever done. you can call murder big, but outside of murder, this is the biggest crime anyone's ever committed.
I can't wait.
We'll talk about later. It's amazing. I had no idea it ever happened, and it's amazing.
You probably didn't either, listening.
In the history of the world, I'll tell you. It's
really?
The largest crime of its type in the history of the world.
Awesome.
We'll get into it. It's incredible. That's why he's Murph the Surf. Except he wasn't stupid taking diamonds.
Right.
We'll talk about what he took. So June 17, 2000, he fights again in Hayward, Wisconsin. He cannot escape the allure of the Dairy State. He can't. He can't escape it. He wanted to leave, but the glitz and the glamour of the Kurds just brought him back.
Of their glistening white skin of Wisconsin.
Yep, he loses to Joe Dirksen by submission in this one. In a minute 19. Yeah, apparently he was really pissed off at himself, too. He went after him a certain... You know how MMA is, basically. You go after someone a certain way. If you miss something and they hook you the right way, you're fucked. You're just done. So he caught him in a lock, and he had to tap out. It was done. So, and the guy he lost to, Joe Dirksen, ended up fighting all the way through 2014 and had a 51-16 record.
Oh, so he was good.
So he was no joke either. This wasn't like some scrub in the beer hall. This guy, he was in Hayward, Wisconsin, but he was just the beginning of a pretty good career.
Right.
And so that's his first loss that he suffers here. July 9th, 2000, this is, a couple weeks later, less than a month later, has a no contest with a guy named Danny Rushton. Apparently Rushton, at the end of the first round, collapsed from exhaustion and couldn't continue, had nothing to do with the fight, so they just...
I was just going to ask, in an MMA fight, what is a no contest?
Yeah, what is
that's a guy that just can't go on anymore? That's a win.
But it wasn't because of the fight, I guess, apparently. Apparently he had some medical... I don't know what the hell happened with it. He had some exhaustion
emphysema or something.
And who the hell knows? This was in England back in the beer hall here, so, they probably had some special rule. If he had too many pints beforehand and he passes out, we're calling it a no contest. Anyone has too many Guinness and passes out, it's fine. So, or too many Stellas or whatever the fuck you're drinking over there. I know you like Stella over there.
Stella's Belgium.
But they like it, and I think it's I think they like Stella over there.
I know that England likes their beer really fucking
they like it,
strong. And they drink big ones.
And warm and gross. Yeah. Good for you guys.
Strong and room temperature.
Good for you guys. And we're going to make our way over there, and you guys have to show us
You're going to show us what to drink.
We'll fucking do it. We'll hang out with you guys. We're into it.
They drink it like we drink red wine.
We want to come over there
You
eventually.
leave it out in a decanter.
And there you go. So... November 24th, 2000, he makes an honest woman of Siobhan here, marries her. So that's nice. They're forming a little demented little family unit.
A demonic little family unit.
It's a nice little Manson family is fucking marinating and percolating over here for the future. This is going to be excellent.
Terrific.
Can't wait to hear about Lee Jr.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he has a son. I don't know if it's Lee Jr.
Oh,
but
that'd be great.
We'll talk about him in about 5 years. Don't worry. So March 11th, 2001, he fights at High Wycombe Judo Center in High Wycombe, England. Has a draw with a guy named Chris Bacon. And Bacon was an Australian judo fighter and actually fought in the '92 Olympics for Australia. So
really,
a good judo fighter. Apparently, he fought in Barcelona for them. So yeah, that's not too shabby. So he has a draw with him. Whatever goes the distance.
In relation to the Bacon Boys of Canada?
I don't know. He's from Australia, so maybe they got around the globe. So he has another fight July 1st, 2001 here in High Wycombe again, Judo Center. He beats a guy named Gary Warren by KO in the first round. Now he's 4-1-1. He's starting to figure this out.
Gary Warren sounds like a tough man.
It sounds like a tough British man, doesn't it?
With like a pot belly, like a
Gary Warren.
Like
he's going to come
Chuck
out.
Liddell look.
Yeah, he's had a few pints. He's ready to take a punch. He's got a good chin, I feel like. But
doesn't feel much right
maybe
now.
Maybe not, though, because he got knocked out with punches in the first round. So we underestimated Gary. Like Lee Murray in a mink coat, we underestimated Gary Warren the opposite way. Overestimated him. So Roger Couts, who is later in a case going to be a co-defendant of him, of Lee Murray, Roger Couts, said of Lee Murray, quote, Lee Murray had security firms. He runs doormen. He has flash cars, and he is a well-known drug dealer. Everyone knows it. He's a gangster.
Yeah.
So that's what his buddy said of him.
Doormen? What the
I don't know what
that
means, but basically I think he has security firms. He runs doormen. I don't know what the fuck
Maybe
he's
he
doing,
has like a security firm that he contracts out to places.
Is like British street slang.
Do people do that out there?
I don't know
That's
what
weird.
the hell you're doing. Let's not get because people are gonna go crazy. No, it's not this. It's that. Idiots. We don't know. Do you know how much...
We're trying to take common sense and relate it to these terms when their terms mean something
it's something different.
Yeah.
And it might be just even more common sense. We just don't see it.
We may get a tweet that goes, you guys were dead on. Keep
dead
going.
on. Yeah, no, you're right. Absolutely. Yeah, and we're trying. I can't look up what a doorman means. And you know how much shit I had to look up for this? You have any fucking idea? This isn't anywhere. You can go on Wikipedia and it'll give you a breakdown, but not all of this shit.
I hate Wikipedia so much for this.
He actually had a better Wikipedia than 99% of the guys we had. Yeah, it had more detail, but I mean nowhere near what we're going to do here.
Right.
What we're in the midst of. But it was still like, I opened it and was like, this isn't bad actually. Because I look at Wikipedia last just to be like, did I miss anything? Because it glosses over the basics. Otherwise, I don't look at that sort of thing. And that one I actually went, this wasn't bad. I should have looked at this earlier. Would have given me some...
One of his friends clearly wrote this.
Yeah, one of his... No, it says interesting things about him here. He's such a gangster and he's so flashy. You know what kind of car he's driving around at one point here?
I'm going to go with a Rolls Royce.
He is driving a Ferrari, which is a little not too, nondescript there. It's as conspicuous as you get. But guess what color it is, Jimmy?
Yellow.
Yellow Ferrari. He's driving a yellow Ferrari.
That's like what a porn star drives.
He might as well just have a big siren on top of it going, I sell drugs. I sell drugs.
See me for coke.
Anybody need any? And then Stanley Wilson sees him driving by and he's like, hey, you got cocaine? Somebody hit my car with a rock. It might have been him. He got a yellow car. I think he got cocaine.
Can you turn me into a dust zombie?
Can you, please? So June 16, 2002, he's got another fight. High Wycombe Judo Center, same thing. He beats Kama Boomna.
His first name is Kama?
Kama, K-A-M-A. Kama Boomna. By submission in only 20 seconds.
Wow.
So he must have just latched onto him, and that was that. So he's 5-1-1 at that point.
Wow.
He's rocking it. Now, let's get into something crazy.
He beat him in as long a time as it took for me to laugh at his first name.
Absolutely. That's that
unbelievable.
Quick. He has a shorter fight later that we'll get into. But this fight that we're going to talk about now, which is not in the ring, is a crazy thing. And UFC fans will really be into this. And anybody will be into this because it's a crazy-ass story. But UFC fans will really be interested in this. It's July 13, 2002. UFC holds their event. It's a pay-per-view in Royal Albert Hall in London. It's their first UK UFC event. Yeah. And it's UFC 38 is the pay-per-view. Now, after the event, there's a huge after party. Obviously, they're going to go party. And
it's a big deal.
And all the fighters are there. Guys who are like peripheral MMA guys, champs, everybody. They're over there trying to fly the flag of like, we want to be here, let's show unity, have everybody there. So everyone's there. Lee Murray's at the after party. Everybody, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, all the guys from that era that are really, 2002 badass guys. Matt Hughes, who's a guy we'll talk about later.
The little white guy.
Yeah, we'll talk about him later. He wrote a book.
Wisconsin?
I am not sure where he's from. He's not.
I think he's like a farm boy.
He's not
somewhere.
British. I know that much from his the syntax of listening to him.
I watched the UFC from like 2003 to 2005, and then I fucking got out of it. But Matt Hughes then was like, he was just like the farm boy, like the down home, like people flying American flags behind him while he comes into like country music or some shit.
God, that's odd.
Yeah, he's very farm boy.
By the way, Lee Murray has the most crazy, sick, scary entrance ever. I'll tell you about it in a little bit.
Very demonic, I imagine.
It's insane. You're like, oh my God, I'm not fighting this fucking guy. So this night here, July 13th, here after the UFC, we're at the after party. Now, Pat Miletich, the trainer, he had one of his guys was fighting that night. One of his guys that he trained was fighting for a championship that night. So he's at the after party too, and he knows all these fucking guys. They've been hanging out all week. So they're over there. Now, this is Lee Murray's home turf here. Right. He's got a few of his boys with him. He's got the Enforcer. He's got Paul the Enforcer Allen with him. He's got all this. Now, they've been hanging out with Miletich. Now, his buddies, Murray's buddies, they only know Miletich. They don't really know the UFC guys at all. They know Miletich. They've been hanging out with him all week. He's part of their crew. They got his back, basically, even though he doesn't know it or need it. But anyway, so let's get a quote from Miletich to tell you how this whole situation tipped off. A brawl breaks out, okay? And this is how it starts. He says, quote, one of Tito Ortiz's friends jumped on my back as a joke. This is Miletich talking. A buddy of Lee's thought he was trying to start a fight with me and jumped in. Then it exploded. Lee took off his jacket. Tito did too.
Oh, no.
So now we got these two guys squaring off. Now, if you're not an MMA fan, and I'm not a huge MMA guy, but a UFC guy, but Tito Ortiz is a bad motherfucker. That I do know.
Yeah.
And everybody, you've heard his name bandied about as fighting this guy, fighting
He's the one
that
that
guy.
beat up Jenna Jameson.
He's yeah. That wasn't one of his finer moments or tougher moments, but if you've seen him in the ring, he was a champion.
Yeah.
He's a bad dude. Like
he was the bad boy of Huntington Beach.
Yeah,
he grew up in Huntington Beach, and he was a mean man.
And so, well,
his head is a block.
His head's a block, and he never gets knocked out. That's
Right.
his thing. Well, let's talk Miletich. We have another quote of the Miletich of this brawl here. Quote, Tito threw a left hand and missed. Lee obviously ducked out of the way, and then he threw a 5-punch combo. Every punch connected perfectly, bone on bone. You could hear them. Very solid shots. Tito went down. Lee kicked him in the head twice. Even though it was, argued by Tito, the world champ got throttled in an alley by an English MMA fighter, and, stardom was born.
Welcome to England.
So he's a fucking legend now, Lee Murray,
awesome.
among the fighters. They're all like, that guy whooped Tito Ortiz's fucking ass. Now, Tito Ortiz denies the shit out of this.
Of course, but it happened.
He said...
I'm running with it happened.
He said, we fought, and it was a big brawl, and I didn't even know what was going on, and he hit me, and I went down because I had dress shoes on, but I popped right back up again. I've never been knocked out, blah, blah, blah. That's his quote, and we have a great quote.
It was the laziest left hand thrown ever.
He threw a hook at him,
Yeah.
and... So we have in the brawl here, one of the men, this is so crazy of a brawl this is. This wasn't just these two. Once it blew up. I mean, there was people fighting everywhere. It was in the street. In the brawl, a guy was knocked to the street, and his arm was run over by a cab, by a taxi as it drove by. So, I mean, people are getting thrown in the street.
Into traffic.
Into traffic. So Chuck Liddell said of the fight, because he was involved too, another famous MMA guy here, he said, quote, I'm hitting a guy with spinning back fists and just dropping guys. It was a classic street fight. If I don't know you, I'll drop you. So he's just, and they said he was like back against a wall, basically, Liddell, and just fending people off, just punching them, knocking people out left and right that were coming at him.
If you don't know who he is, you don't want to take a punch from him.
No.
They called him the Iceman. There's a reason why. He didn't put you to sleep.
He's a bad dude.
Yeah.
He's knocking people out. Now, like I said, Tito Ortiz denies this whole thing. No, I was fine. Now, here's Matt Hughes, who's a fellow fighter, and just he's actually reputable, too.
Yeah.
He's not, like, in a prison somewhere.
Salt of the earth.
He says, quote, this is from his book, an excerpt from his book. He wrote a book in, 2009.
Awesome.
He says, quote, Tito throws a left hook at Lee and misses. And right as he missed, Lee Murray counters with like a 5-punch combo. Landed right on the chin, knocked Tito out. Tito fell face first to the ground, and then Lee Murray stomped on his face a couple of times with his boots.
Wow.
So that's the exact thing the other guy
same
said.
Story.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Period. That's it. That's
Two
what happened.
stories that are identical.
And a
I'm
third.
Gonna fuck what you say, Tito.
Let's hear what Lee Murray has to say about it, because this is fucking awesome. Because this is this is also against Tito Ortiz's claim of the dress shoes. He's like, fuck this. No. This is how crazy he is. This is great. Here is, in their own words, on the whole fight here from Lee Murray, quote, his friend was knocked out cold. I was laughing. He seen me and took his jacket off. He comes running at me, throwing punches, and I smacked him up. Tito was drunk? What about me? I was drinking vodka and champagne all night. I was drunk as well. What does he think? I was sober and just finished up a couple rounds of shadow boxing and was ready? I was drinking all night and had dress shoes on as well. He's like, fuck him. We were all hanging out drunk.
I squared up in my Bruno Mollies.
We all had dress shoes on. He said before, he was like, I took my jacket off, I put my watch in my pocket, and like, let's get it on, motherfucker, let's do it. So, that must have been, everyone probably went, ooh.
Yeah.
And the UFC guys were probably like, ooh, this guy's in trouble, Tito's going to beat him. And they were like, whoa, what the hell was that? Who's this guy?
Did you hear that bone on bone?
Who's this guy? That sounded like gunshots, as we've heard from him. That's crazy shit. Now, Dana White, who's the UFC owner, and I guess still president, even though they just sold it here, he's seen a lot of bad dudes, I'd imagine, and probably isn't that affected or impressed by any of them. And I've heard his interviews. He's like, yeah, whatever. He'll talk shit about these guys. Like, he doesn't seem to fear much. And he said, quote,
please, at their weigh-ins and shit, when they like have fights and stuff,
yeah.
they'll be right
He gets
behind
right
him being
in the
like,
middle.
Connor, knock it off. Connor, knock it off. When Conor McGregor's mouthing off.
Absolutely. So he says of Lee Murray, quote, he's a scary son of a bitch. And I don't mean fighter-wise. He's like, I'm scared of him as a human.
That is
He's
awesome.
a frightening man. He scares me.
He just doubled down on the demonic part.
Yeah, he's the little demonic, and he frightens Dana White.
He scares me, and not in the fighting.
Not in the fighting way. So now we get to this. It's another high Wycombe match here. September. Now, he's got to be feeling good about that. He just knocked out Tito Ortiz.
Yeah.
Now he's going to the judo center to fight some schlub who ended up finishing up with an 11-10 record, the guy he fought, Amir Ranavardi. He beats him in the first round in 4 seconds.
Wow.
He basically comes in, hits him twice, and knocks
They said, let's get
out.
it. Never mind, it's over.
Yeah, boom, boom, done. Apparently his people, his entourage went batshit, rushed the ring, and went nuts, and they caused a
Amir's?
fucking... No.
Oh,
no,
Lee's?
Lee's
entourage
celebration.
went-
Because he went in there.
Jesus.
It was like an N1 video, and somebody fucking crosses somebody over and then dunks on him. And everyone goes, oh, shit, and runs away. That's what happened. They just rushed the ring. They were like, oh, my God, he just knocked him out. Holy shit. And then it started a riot in this place. And this, apparently with the crowd, because they were knocking tables over and people weren't taking
I had
that
money
shit.
on this. I paid a lot of money for this ticket.
So-
That's all I get to see.
Basically, the promoters at that point were like, dude, his people are too crazy. Like, we can't have this guy fight in our place. They just destroyed the judo center. This is not cool. Like, the fuck. So he's 6-1.
There's a fire in the women's restroom.
Yes, like that's not. There's not even a woman here. I don't know how that could even possibly happen. So, so he's done with that. Their judo center, but he's 6-1. So he's establishing himself.
Yeah.
Now, March 2003, little sidetrack here. He's fighting. He's knocking out world champs.
Right.
Now he's questioned twice, then arrested for the murder of Sabina Rizvi, some woman who was shot twice after her boyfriend was in a fight with a group of men. So they questioned him twice, and the second time arrested him. They ended up releasing him eventually, and they eventually arrested and tried and convicted a man named Paul Asbury for life for the murder. But they still think others were involved, including Lee, and they outwardly say he was a suspect and sort of still is, basically.
Does Paul Asbury have any ties to Lee Murray?
No, and Paul Asbury, well, I'm sure he does,
Yeah.
that's why. But also, Paul Asbury's not going to say Lee Murray was helping
No
me
way.
because he'd rather just sit in jail for the rest of his
I
life.
would too.
Lee will come find you, I feel like. So we're back to the beer
Prison
halls.
bars do not keep you safe from Lee Murray.
No. I don't think anything can keep you safe from this guy. So July 13th, 2003, we're in London, and he beats Jose Landy Johns, who goes by Pele Landy Johns. And I guess he is a friend of Anderson Silva, and that will come up later.
Okay.
And he beats him pretty good, apparently,
Really?
old Landy Johns here. He beats him 32 seconds in round 2, knocks him out. Bringing Lee to 7-1-1, and I think he kind of flaunted it a little and embarrassed him a little bit too, and shit like that. So it was
Made him a little upset about it.
exactly, and that's he'll bring it up with Anderson Silva later on when they have a little confrontation.
Awesome.
And there we have it in their own words on this fight from Mr. Lee Murray. He says, "Quote: He's probably still in the ring, probably still sleeping, catching flies. I know now that the UFC has got to open their eyes to me. They got to take me. There's no ifs or buts."
Wow.
So he's like, I'm ready for the UFC. That guy's a good fighter. He's one of their guys, and I just beat the shit out
I
of him.
left him catching flies.
Catching flies. And while he did it, too, he made a face like, with his mouth open.
Yeah.
He did one of those.
Yeah.
So he was really mocking the
That's
guy, too.
hilarious.
Yeah. So things are going well. UFC, whatever. Things are going great for him,
Yeah.
right? It's going so well. So what do? It's Christmas Day, 2003. You're having a good year. You beat up Tito Ortiz. He's saying they got to open their eyes to me. So Christmas Day, he's with his family. His wife is pregnant, 7 months pregnant again.
Again.
Wife's pregnant. He has your young daughter, Lily Jane, in the seat.
So sweet.
In the Range Rover, they're driving. Who knows? They could have been delivering. It's Christmas Day. They could have been delivering presents to underprivileged kids, or more likely dropping off a kilo of coke, or breaking someone's neck.
Right.
Either way, they're
Leaving
driving.
someone catching flies.
They're driving through an English town in their Range Rover when they are sideswiped by a car.
Uh-oh.
And apparently they tried to get away from each other, and they kind of hit each other again. There's a poor guy named Derek Parker.
I feel like it's
Or,
not
I'm
gonna
sorry,
work
it's
out
not.
well.
It's not Derek Parker. David Meyer. Derek Parker is his attorney.
Okay.
So there's a fellow named David Meyer. This poor bastard.
He needed a lawyer.
He needed more than a lawyer. This guy needed like an armed guard and a priest. That's what he needed, standing by him to perform last rites, even though he didn't die. We'll get into what happened here right now, though. So he gets out of the car. Lee gets out of the car after this accident. Apparently not a happy camper, not feeling the Christmas spirit, we'll say at this moment in time. Not exactly saying, you know what, it's Christmas, my dinner's getting cold, let's let it go. You know what, as a matter of fact, why don't you come to my house for a drink and we'll talk about this since it's Christmas and let's all have a nice spirit, right?
I feel like it was more like, I'm going to jam a turkey up your ass.
Well, as Derek Parker, Murray's attorney and the silverest of silver-haired middle-aged white men, says of him, quote, Lee disabled the vehicle, then disabled the driver, as he put it. That's his own attorney said that, by the way.
God.
His own attorney said that. That wasn't the prosecutor that's saying what he did wrong. That's his own attorney. He fucked him up good, man. Let me tell you something. He beat this man so bad. And this guy's, I think he's 48 years old, something like that. So he's an older guy, too. Not a fighter. He's David Meyer driving around London. He's not trying to fight anybody. He's just driving on Christmas Day.
I'm sorry, I dented your bumper.
He probably got sent out for ice, this poor son of a bitch. You know what I mean? Ice. He got sent out for more, whatever the fuck they're eating over there.
We have a turkey and no Chardonnay. Your mother's here.
We need more meat to boil. Go out and get it. You know what I mean? Sorry. Sorry, England. Sorry, England.
You referenced their food preparation. So, Jesus.
Anyway, so Meyer's going out for more meat to boil. He's got something cooking up here. Lee beats him so savagely, this man is in a coma for 6 days. 6 days. He 6-day comaed him. That's a special kind of beating. That's not a regular beating. He didn't punch him once and walk away. That's a 6-day coma.
Yeah. You usually wake up after 10 seconds or so.
He just hits everything. Like, I expect him, like, honestly, like, you know how, like, sometimes your toaster, it'll get stuck in there for a sec? Does he just punch it? Like, he's so full of Is everything have holes in it in his house? His drywall must be destroyed.
And forget it, the calcification of his hands, he could demolish a wall.
Oh, man, can you imagine what he's doing?
I don't know. It's like a tack hammer that he's got for a hand.
It's like a tack hammer. That's the thing, man. He's tacking shit, I'm going to say here. So he finally gets his big shot. He gets his big shot on January 31st, 2004 in Mandalay Bay. At the Mandalay Bay Casino in Las Vegas, makes his UFC pay-per-view debut.
With his calcified hands.
In Vegas. So this is the real shit.
Deal.
This is a month after he beat a middle-aged man into a coma.
Is this our pinnacle?
This here would be our pinnacle, guys.
Right.
This is our pinnacle. This is the mountaintop. He's up there with his Sherpa next to him, his Moroccan dishwasher-handed father. He's on the mountaintop, but he's got his hand over his eye, guarding it from the sun, looking over the valley right now. Just look, and it's going to get slightly higher by the end of the match.
Pointing at their destination. I think I can see it from here.
I can see it. There it is. I'm going to be champ.
There's retirement.
He has one of the more interesting ring entrances I've ever seen in my life. He comes to the ring wearing, an orange prison jumpsuit.
Oh my God.
First of all.
Foreshadowing.
Like a fucking legit prison jumpsuit.
With a DOC number and everything.
Yeah, wears a prison jumpsuit, zipped up and everything, and a Hannibal Lecter mask. That's how he came to the ring.
Wow.
Imagine this psychopath coming at you.
Demonic.
Demonic looking in the eyes with a prison jumpsuit and a Hannibal Lecter mask.
Wow.
And he wants to fight you.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
And that's the guy that just signed a contract to beat your ass.
I'm good now. No, thank you. Oh, no fucking part of that.
Can I leave now?
No part of it. So he enters the ring like that, takes off his jumpsuit, and he has an R.I.P. somebody shirt on. It wasn't the guy he was fighting, because that's who I figured it probably was. R.I.P. the guy he's fighting. But
it was somebody else?
Somebody else. He had an R.I.P. somebody shirt on. I don't know if that means he's going to kill someone or he's sad about somebody that died. But this guy, who the fuck knows? It could have been just as likely that he killed someone.
Yeah.
Or he was planning on killing someone. So he wins a submission in 1:45.
Holy
in
shit.
his UFC debut. And I saw the fight, too. He was pretty nasty.
He really beat him good.
He did it good, and he went crazy, too. He's celebrating like crazy. He went nuts. I mean, it's his first. He thought he was on his way there. I mean, and they're offering a contract, too. There's a contract for another fight on the table. $78,000 contract offer for his next fight.
Payday.
He's going up the line, and they like the way he did it, too. He does it with flourish. Like, he won the fight, and he wasn't one of those guys that won and then just kind of walked around. Second the guy tapped, he jumped up and leaped up on top of the cage, leapt up there and straddled it, and was going crazy, and they liked him. People were like, yeah, this guy's got personality.
This guy's got flash and flare.
He's got charisma, basically, is what it is. Yeah, he doesn't give a shit. So now, June 2004, This is 6 months later, not even. Prosecutors over in England file charges of causing grievous bodily harm from the Christmas comaing of a poor middle-aged man on Christmas fucking day while his wife and child looked on. That's the other thing we didn't get into.
They were in the car too?
They were in the car. He said he's driving with his 7-month pregnant wife, and his young daughter in the car. So his wife and child.
Oh, Lee Murray's.
Lee Murray.
Yeah.
Lee Murray's wife and child watched him do that. That's not okay. By the way, that will fuck your kids up, I think.
I think so.
I'm pretty sure. So anyway, he's charged with this. Now this keeps him, because he was even charged with this, it keeps him from being allowed in the U.S. The State Department refuses to issue him a work visa because he's a fucking psychopath.
Yeah.
He's a psychopath. It's probably better you're not letting him in the goddamn country. We don't need this guy wandering around over here. Sorry, England, you can keep him.
And this is
He's
post
all
9/11.
yours.
This
Yeah.
is security purposes.
Dude, he's all yours, guys. He's not going to blow anything up. We just don't need him in our bars and restaurants.
He'll
walking
blow up
around,
somebody's face.
punching people for no reason, beating up 9 of our bouncers. We're good, thank you.
Or our elderly.
Or our elderly, or anybody else. Not that 48 is elderly, but if the guy was 78, you think he would have done any different? No, he would
it's
have
the
cracked
same
his
thing.
old skull like a fucking cantaloupe. You kidding me?
Somebody would have a new hip.
A new hip. Yeah, his hip, because it would have been taken out of him after he died
Right.
from a beating. Someone would have had a new kidney and a
Some
new heart,
eyes.
some eyes, all sorts of shit. Would have been terrible. So yeah, he's not allowed to enter the U.S., so he's fucked there, basically.
Yeah.
And he has a fight in England here with Anderson Silva.
Lee Murray fought Anderson Silva?
Fights Anderson Silva in September of 2004. It is not a UFC fight.
Okay.
It's a cage rage fight.
Rage in the cage?
Rage in the cage, whatever the fuck it was. So anyway, Silva said at the weigh-in, quote, about Murray, quote, he talked an unbelievable amount of shit, he said about it. He kept saying, like, I'm going to do you like I did your buddy Pele, and he was talking shit about that.
And this is a man, Anderson Silva is known for
he's a badass.
rope-a-doping people.
Yeah.
Like he'll like spin his fists and like point at them. And
Yeah.
He's
This
a
guy's
shit-talking
saying,
man.
I ain't taking shit. Yeah, I am
And
the
that's
bigger
a man
shit
that
talker.
says that Lee Murray talks an unbelievable
Lee
amount
Murray
of
will
shit.
murder you. That's the
Right.
difference. Anderson Silva might be. Is he in trouble at all? He might be a normal.
I think he
human
may
being.
have quit. He may have quit because he had the most amazing injury I've ever seen.
Oh, I remember
Did
that.
you see
Yes,
that?
I know exactly what
Anderson
you're talking
Silva's
about.
kick and his foot wrapped around the guy's
that was
leg.
horrific. That was not cool at all. That was fucking
It
gross.
makes me giggle every time.
It's almost It's like
hysterical.
it's the sock full of quarters. It's the sock full of quarters. That's
It
all
goes around a man's
Man.
shin.
So also Silva said that Murray found a pair of Silva's shorts sitting over a chair in the locker room, one of his fighting shorts there with Silva there, and he took it. Murray took it and ripped the Brazilian flag off it and threw it at him.
Wow.
So he's just being a dick.
Yeah.
Silva's from
That's
Brazil. If you
ballsy.
don't know. Yeah, he's just being a complete dick. And Silva, he's not going to let anybody get to him mentally. He's a pro.
Right.
Pro's pro. So September 11th, 2004 is the fight. It's at the Wembley Conference Center in London, so
Beautiful.
it's a big goddamn fight. He loses a unanimous decision to Silva. Went the distance with him, though.
Really?
Lost the decision, went the distance, and was like, yeah, I get him next time. Murray's like, I'll knock him the fuck out next time.
Wow.
Basically, like, he was
He's
tough,
not afraid
but
of Anderson
he's not.
Silva.
No, and he went the distance with him, and Anderson Silva should be afraid of him because he couldn't put him away. So he's 8-2-1. After the fight, they went and then post-fight handshake. They shook hands, and Silva palmed the Brazilian flag, gave it back to him. So he took his hand away, and the
shit.
Brazilian flag, like, that's what you get, motherfucker. So he gave him a little ribbon back, which I thought was
Give him a
pretty
little
good.
right there, Fred.
He had the last laugh, right?
Yeah.
So June 2005. Now this is almost a year later. He can't get into the U.S. to fight. He hasn't fought since then. He's trying to get into the U.S. and he's trying to get big fights if they're over in Europe. He receives a citation, Lee Murray does, for loitering. He's loitering on a street corner. Okay?
16-year-olds fucking
He's loitering
felony.
on a street corner. Weird, just like in an industrial area. There's a car garage and some brick buildings, and he's loitering on a street corner. Seems odd, right, that he would be doing that in June 2005. Keep that date, June 2005. Okay, odd, right?
Right.
We'll find out why he's doing that
bizarre.
in a little bit. It's a little bizarre. He has an eventful September of 2005.
Really?
With fighting, non-sanctioned fucking fights here. This is the first incident. September 21st, 2005. He is in a fight outside of one of his favorite hangouts. It's a nightclub in the Mayfair district of London. It's like a high scale, I guess where drug dealers and people who like to do coke go, and porn stars and shit like that. From the way it was described, that's what it was. And a week later, we'll talk about it. But anyway, he's outside of there, and there is a major brawl, of course. And of course, Lee's involved.
Absolutely, that's what he does.
That's what he does. He's fighting, he's knocking people out, and he's stabbed in this fight. And he said it wasn't a big deal because, quote, it only sliced his left nipple off. He lost his left nipple in this fight.
He lost a nipple.
He lost a nipple and just was like, that's no big deal.
Without a shirt, you look disgusting now. He doesn't care.
He didn't care anyway because he was just like, whatever. I mean, it's, he's like, it's just a little stab wound. Like, literally,
somebody
he was like, I got stabbed.
aiming at your heart.
No big deal.
Wow.
Sometimes you get stabbed. What's the difference, right? And this is what the British Rage Cage promoter, and he's a friend of Murray's too. He said of this incident, this is amazing. This is the wackiest quote I've ever heard. Imagine you had a friend that you would say this about, like, whatever. He said, quote, it was just a minor stabbing, like these that happen every night of the week. He had stab wounds, bullet wounds. He was a proper from the streets kid.
Good grief.
So he was like, he gets stabbed all the time. He's
I know
fine.
nobody like
it's
that.
no big deal. Anywhere like, he gets stabbed all the time. People shoot at him. Don't worry about it. He's fine. Like,
Tell me about the missing nipple.
Yeah.
It's just another wound.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. He's got that.
Please.
Yeah. So now 1 week later, September 28th, 2005, he is back at the Funky Buddha hanging out. This is at a birthday party for a topless model named Lauren Pope. They called her, she's one of the page 3 girls, which over there they have nude girls on page 3 of one of the papers. That's a big thing there. I don't know if they still do it. I think they do. But
That's the thing that 16-year-olds steal to wank to.
Yeah, it's a topless girls on there. Oh, this one's topless. It's just basically whores on parade or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. So topless chicks in the newspaper.
Right.
I can't imagine her getting paid much for it. I don't know. But anyway. So Lee's involved in another fight in this one now. It's another huge brawl. What is going on in this nightclub where there's huge brawls every week?
A brawl.
And it's not just a couple of guys, it's the whole place
everybody.
exploding like Blazing Saddles, whether, like we've talked about, they're fighting the musical people. It's that.
And
there's
cue the
food
fire in
flying.
the women's room.
It's ridiculous. And and the women's toilet paper roll is on fire. And the tampon machine burns. Excellent. I assume you have tampon machines in there from what I've seen.
Fingers crossed at least,
footage.
just in case.
I hope so. This time, he is stabbed several times.
Jesus.
And has a real touch and go thing with death here. He's stabbed several times. He has a punctured lung and a severed artery in his chest. There's
not good.
blood squirting everywhere.
Yeah.
He's a disaster. He tries to stumble to a cab that was sitting out there, but the cab driver sees him spewing blood.
He's like, not in this car.
Locks the door and takes off. He's like, get the fuck out of here. He's gone. So he's like stumbling in the street and basically falls down in the street, went near a train station and fell down. And 2 women were in a car and they saw him and helped him and said, we'll take you to the hospital.
Thank God for them.
And they were in the middle of London, and they're not from the middle of London, so they didn't know where the hospital was. So they drove him around in circles for a minute and then ended up calling an ambulance and saying,
he's spewing blood all
we're
over
fucking here. He's bleeding all over the car. Can you come help us, basically?
Yeah, they're like, the wheel's on the wrong side of the car. I don't know where your fucking hospitals are. This man's squirting blood all over the back of my driver's seat.
Somehow he doesn't... Somehow he doesn't die in the car. He makes it to the hospital.
He has a lot of blood.
It's insane. He needs emergency surgery.
Yeah.
He is resuscitated 4 times during the night. Dies 4 times during the night. They gave him 8 pints of blood over the course of the night. He's just going.
Don't you only hold 12?
Yeah, and he lost most of it, I think. He's
my God.
He was dead for 3 whole minutes at one point, and the doctors told his family basically, he's been out for 3 minutes. Even if we bring him back, he might have brain damage.
Yeah.
So they were like, we don't know. His mother was freaking out. His mother was on holiday somewhere, and she had to try to come home. She was trying to get home and frantically trying to get there. I think he's dead. Basically, they told him that he might die. They were pretty sure he's going to die.
Right.
So he ends up pulling through though somehow.
He
pulls through this incident. Has carved up. I mean, they got an artery good. Obviously, it was squirting out. We'll get to his quote on it, which is beautiful. And
I'm really uncomfortable right now.
It's what happened to him was gross. Yeah, he got stabbed up. His friends thought he was going to die. Everybody that was there. When he woke up, he grabbed the marker, and they were bored in the hospital, and he wrote "warrior" on it Like, I'm not fucking dying, bitch. He's a tough son of a bitch, this guy.
It's like the board that they put your name on and then what you can eat today.
Warrior he
Ice
put on
chips
it.
and this and that. He's like, my name is not Lee Murray anymore. I am Warrior.
He is a fucking demon. I think that might be it. He's indestructible, this guy.
He's just terrifying the nurses in the hospital.
Yeah, they're like, I don't know. He's a little frightening. So here's his, in their own words, on this fight, which is amazing here. He'll explain the whole thing. Yeah. Lee Murray, quote, "One of my friends got involved in the fight. I tried to help him because about 6 or 7 guys were on him. That's when I got stabbed. I got stabbed in the head first. I thought it was a punch. When I felt the blood coming down my face, I wiped the blood and just continued to fight. Next, I looked down at my chest and blood was literally shooting out of my chest. It was literally flying out of my chest like a yard in front of me. I died 3 times that night."
Oh my God.
He didn't imagine the fear, and then let's take away from being stabbed to death a lot. Imagine you're in a fight.
Stabbed to death a lot.
And you have a knife. Yeah. And you stab a man in the head,
right?
And he doesn't react.
No.
He just wipes blood away and keeps punching someone.
It's the Terminator.
Then you stab him in the chest, right in the heart.
Yeah.
Get an artery and everything. He didn't just miss him and go, oh shit. Got a lung, got a fucking a piece of an artery and everything, and he doesn't even notice. That guy had to shit in his pants when that happened.
I'd run.
I would run too. Holy shit.
And his whole thought
just
is,
run.
There was 6 or 7 guys. I'm not scared of 6 or 7 guys.
It's like my friend was getting beat up.
Right.
Fuck that.
I got caught in the head and wiped the blood. If I see blood in the middle of a fight, I'm going to be checking where I'm bleeding at.
Yeah, he just was like,
And he didn't even know that he was
stabbed him in the head.
It was shooting a yard out of his chest.
Who stabs a guy in the head, first of all? Who aims for the head with a knife? I've never seen that. I'm going to stab you right in the head. I've never.
Thunk.
Maybe he's aiming for his neck. I don't fucking know. But we have the ultimate silver-haired, middle-aged white man statement here. Holy shit. Fight promoter Andy Gear, who doesn't want him to ever get in any trouble, and doesn't want bad press for him because he wants to use him. He's one of the cage guys. Said, this is amazing. He said that Lee would never have started that fight. Ever. He wouldn't have done anything like that because, quote, "He's had a colorful past, but those days are behind him. I don't know what happened, but I know he wouldn't have been looking for trouble. He's never carried a weapon in his entire life."
Right.
Bullshit, bullshit, and bullshit. He almost killed a man in the street. Those days are behind him.
No, they're not.
He's good now. Literally, he was just killing a man in the street a week earlier. No problem. That's fine. Unbelievable. So, now we get to the meat of this bad boy here. You'd think there's a lot of crime and fun and fuckery and nickery and just a complete disaster. This is a chorus of disaster, is it not so far?
Chorus.
It's a mess, right? As we said with Stanley Wilson, a symphony of self-destruction.
Right. This
is a disaster. We haven't even touched it yet. We haven't even got to the thing that makes this guy famous yet. That's the thing. We've skimmed the surface. You guys...
He almost died. Right now he's recovering.
He's almost killed others and died.
Right.
Both. Okay?
Right.
That's what we're dealing with right now. Okay. Now he's going to do the interesting part.
I can't wait.
Nothing so far has been interesting. This is going to be interesting. On February 21st, 2006, Murray has a car accident. He crashes his car on his own, solo crash, and flees the scene. Okay? Takes off. Why would he do that, right? We'll find out in a second. But he leaves his cell phone in the car by accident in his haste to flee.
Yeah.
Leaves his cell phone behind, and the police find his car and they find his cell phone, which has something very interesting in it that we'll talk about. But,
oh no.
Okay, now 7 p.m. I think it was about 2 hours after this car accident. There is a man named Colin Dixon driving home from work. He's the manager of it's called the Securitas Cash Warehouse. Okay, it is a cash depot that basically has the cash for the Bank of England. It's a depot where they bring cash in and then distribute it
Fort Knox
to the banks with all cash. There's nothing else but cash in there. Okay, he's the manager of this place, right? He's driving home. He lives in suburban London. He's driving home. He's pulled over by the police on a street, on a quiet road out in the middle of nowhere. He's pulled over by the police. So the police come up to the car, and they have the vests on, the reflective vests that the cops do over there, and badges, and they're legit, and they tell the man he was speeding, and he doesn't know whether he's speeding or not, but he's, they tell him get out of the car. He gets out of the car, obviously. They take him back to their car. They handcuff him. They put him in the car.
This is a lot for speeding.
This is a lot for speeding. They put him in the car. They bind him. They get his feet. They gag him.
Zip ties and shit.
They handcuffed him already and then they tied up his feet and they gagged him and held him at gunpoint in the back of the car. These are not cops. These are not cops. They told him to comply or he would be shot. So things are crazy at this point, right? Dixon, the manager of this place, the man who was bound and gagged at this point, later said that when they got him out of the car, one of them pointed a gun at him and said, quote, "You will have guessed we are not policemen. Don't do anything silly and you won't get hurt. We're not fucking about. This is a 9mm." That's the most British way you can rob someone. We're not fucking about. See, this is a 9mm, and I'll come over there and give you a vicious bunk on the head. Unreal. So we're not fucking about. This is a 9mm. So this guy's like,
I'm gonna start saying that.
I am too. That's a great thing to say.
I'm gonna tell my kids, I'm not fucking about.
I'm not fucking about, goddammit. Do you understand me? Not fucking about.
Turn off the TV. I'm not fucking about.
I'm not fuck. So now they have him. They take him away.
Yeah.
They put him in a van and take him away.
Yeah.
Okay. Now 8:40 p.m. There's an hour 40 minutes
When
later.
there's a van involved, shit just got serious.
Oh, it's bad when there's a van.
So serious.
This has multiple vans.
Yeah.
We're just scratching the surface. 8:40 p.m. There's a knock on the door of Lynn Dixon, who is Mr. Dixon's wife at home.
Oh, no.
With their 7-year-old son Craig.
Oh no.
And it's the police at the door, and the police are telling her your husband's been in a terrible car accident. And
We're not fucking about.
We're not fucking about. He's at the hospital. Yeah. Come, we'll take you. Grab your son and let's go. We'll take you to him, right?
Yeah.
She gets in the car. We're not fucking about. So that's what's going on here.
This is 9mm zip ties.
Yeah.
Boom.
They get her in the car. She gets held
Zip
at
ties, ball
gunpoint,
gag.
thrown in the back of a van. They're taken to a farm. Okay, they're taken
that's
to
so
a
scary.
farm. Yeah, this is some horror movie
that's
shit.
so
Okay.
scary.
They're taken. This poor woman is scared shitless. She doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
She has no idea what's going on.
All she knows is that they're not fucking about.
They're not fucking about. She's aware of the fact that they are not fucking about. Outside of that, it could be anything. She could owe money. She could owe her money on her electric bill. She doesn't know, but they're not fucking about. They're definitely there. They mean business. Okay. So they take him to a farmhouse where they find the husband, Craig, or the husband, Mr. Dixon here, Colin, bound and gagged and handcuffed, which is a bad sign when you see the guy. That's not good.
No.
It's not the way you want to see him.
Oh, that's not a hospital bed.
Oh, this is a farmhouse. He's in the hay. Oh my, this is bad.
What are those pigs for?
And he's gagged, and they're like, holy shit.
To the ball
freaking
gag,
out.
he's like, they're not fucking about.
They're not fucking about. That's what happened. They're not fucking about. So they tell him to cooperate or his wife and son will be killed because they have him. That's pretty good leverage. So they wait several hours now. It's in 9-something. They wait about 3 hours. Around midnight, they take the manager. They throw him in a van. They take him to the depot, the cash depot there, and have him wave him inside. This is in Tonbridge, in outside. It's the outskirts of London. They get him inside the place. Okay, they get him in. Obviously, he waves. They buzz him in. He comes in. Basically, they're telling him he walks in and he goes, they're not fucking about. He said, they have my wife and kid. Right. They're not fucking about. Right. They have 9mm. And at this point, too, this is a policeman. They walk in like it's a policeman. So they let him in. They didn't care about the policeman. That was fine. Right. Normal for policemen to come in and out of there. Sure. So he says, don't fucking set off any alarms. Nothing. Whatever you do, they're going to kill my wife and son. Right. They do all that. They find the security guard. The policeman overpowers the security guard, takes care of him.
Pretty easily.
They have Mr. Dixon disable all the alarms so no one can do it. And then they buzz in 7 other robbers.
Oh, boy.
These other robbers are black, outfits, big ski masks, prosthetics, fake beards, the whole deal. They have all the shit, AK-47s. Wow. They're not fucking about. Yeah. They are not fucking about at all.
This is better than Ocean's 11. This is great.
Yeah, absolutely. And even the policeman that came in had a fake mustache, a beard, and prosthetic shit on his face, like a prosthetic nose and shit to hide their... Because this is all, there's cameras everywhere, so they want to hide their appearance. They are seen coming in at 1:21 a.m. The security camera sees everybody come in. All the robbers make their way around this depot. They know where all the doors are. They know where They know
They're very well informed.
where the cash is,
Yeah.
how to get the cash, where the door is over here. And this place is, if you go into an office building even, and that's not a secure location like this where they keep the nation's cash, you don't even know where the bathroom is.
Right.
It'll take you fucking 15 minutes to find the bathroom before you have to ask some fucking lady from accounting, like, where I can pee now.
You better hope you don't have to shit your pants.
Yeah, this is a cash depot, man. This is like, they probably don't make it easy to get around in here. It's probably whatever.
Things are hidden.
It's unmarked, we'll say. It's not like cash room this way, I doubt, with a big fucking arrow that way. So they make their way around. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing because a few months earlier, a member of the crew named Ermir Heisenaj got an $11 an hour job at the depot, a 10-minute job interview, and they hired him on for $11 an hour to work the night shift over there.
Oh, boy.
So what he did was, for weeks and weeks before the robbery, he wore a hidden camera in his belt buckle and documented everywhere.
Yeah.
Just walked in, so everybody had the footage, and they looked at it. They made plans. And, oh, by the way, remember the loitering charge from June 2005?
Yeah.
You know where he was loitering?
Right out front.
Right across the street from that place. Within distance. It was right across the street on the corner, right where you can see it. Wow. And this building it didn't say Cash Depot on it. It wasn't like a check cashing store. No. It was a completely nondescript brick building behind an auto mechanic shop.
Oh, boy.
So, I mean, it was
so
purposely, it just looked like some shit warehouse that nobody would ever look twice at, basically. That was the point of it. They want everyone to know, hey, all the nation's cash is right here.
Right
Come
there.
get it. Come get it.
It's right behind Mako.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is how crazy this is. This is an operation. This is more than Murph the Surf. They just bought a couple of books and drew a map and climbed down a fucking blinds. Yeah. This is different. Jack Roland Murphy, you suck a dick compared to these people.
This is cameras and a belt buckle.
And a crew and AK-47s. And they didn't sneak in and sneak out. They are taking control of this shit. There's 14 employees that they have to take control over.
A family.
They kidnapped a whole family, a 7-year-old, took
They
them
were
to a
not
farmhouse.
fucking about.
No. They're in a goddamn farmhouse being threatened with their lives. Holy shit. And some of these robbers had body armor on too, just in case. They were the ones like in the lead. They did like a military operation.
This is terrifying.
It's insane, right?
I've been robbed at gunpoint before.
Yeah.
It is so fucking frightening. And those guys, they had paintball masks on and pistols. There was no, my wife and kids weren't kidnapped, my parents weren't kidnapped.
And this wasn't an organized thing with guys with AK-47s and ski masks and prosthetics on. I'd be like, dude, this is crazy. They have prosthetics on. They can do anything to us. I don't even know who they are.
Wearing an Obama mask.
Come on, man. This is crazy. So, yeah, they end up, 7 of the robbers go after the vault while 14 of the staff is held at gunpoint, and they put them in the cages where they kept the money. They put them in little cages
scary.
like dogs, basically.
Yeah.
So the robbers...
I was duct taped and stuck in a walk-in freezer. That's pretty fucking scary,
That's scary, too.
It's pretty horrible.
This, I mean...
But behind fucking, like, those cold metal bars.
Yeah, like, let me out.
Yeah, they're so
you don't know if they're going to start open firing on you, too.
That's the point.
These
That's
people
the
are
scary
crazy,
part.
right? And one of the guys, too, had a stopwatch around his neck.
Oh, Flava Flav robbed this place?
No, not a huge one. not a huge one.
He's just keeping
He wasn't
track.
smoking crack and
Right.
everything else. He was the timekeeper, and he appeared to be the guy in charge and was directing traffic.
You do this, you do that.
Exactly.
Time. Right.
So the robbers, at this point, they go to the loading dock and back their truck up to the loading dock and they needed forklifts to get the cash in. There's so much
heavy.
cash, they need forklifts to get it onto the truck, okay? That's how much cash they're trying to steal. So 2:40 a.m. is when they pull off. This is an hour, 20 minutes. This whole thing took. 2:40 a.m. they pull off with, this is the largest cash heist in the history of the world.
The world.
The world.
Not UK, not
UK,
America, not Australia.
not Europe.
Everybody
on
combined.
the planet of Earth. The largest cash steal ever.
How much is it?
53 million pounds in cash.
My God.
Now think about Goodfellas. The Lufthansa heist was like, what, 4 million?
Yeah.
And they were like, oh my God. I mean, that was the
That's crazy.
70s, but still. 53 million pounds, which is roughly $93 million.
My God.
In cash. Cash.
Cash money.
Insane. Largest. It's absolutely
That's
fucking
so
insane.
much money.
But the thing about it that was crazy was they didn't take it because that's all they had.
Right.
That's all they could fit in their truck.
Whoa.
They didn't bring a big enough truck. they could have made away with $300 million U.S., so about 170 million pounds they had on premises.
They could have taken more money than Brad Pitt and Angelina are worth.
They could have taken that.
Jolie.
They didn't bring a big enough truck. Imagine the guy who rented the truck. Like, dude, the fuck did I tell you? I told you to get the fucking bigger one.
Told you
were
to get the 18-wheeler.
How big is cash? How big can cash be? What, they're little, they're skinny. It's like fucking paper. How much can we fit everything in there? No, thanks. Thanks. Now we're 100 million light now. Thanks, asshole.
Have you seen how much $3 million is? I've seen like pictures of the like Mexican cartel when they confiscate
post on Instagram and
when
show how rich they are. Oh, no, the police. Yeah,
and you can like lay down all your family on this brick mattress bed
it's a truck
of money, and it's huge.
This is
and
a
it's
truck
just
full
$3 million.
Yeah, this is a truck full of money.
This is fucking 15 times that.
Insane.
So much money.
This is what they get away with. Is that unbelievable? So all the hostages are unharmed.
Shit.
I mean, and they get away.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, somebody eventually slips out of one of the cages and calls the police, and it takes a few hours, and I mean, that's how it works. Nobody's hurt. Now, the next morning is when shit starts to unravel. The next morning, a van is found in a hotel parking lot full of cash. Just full of cash. Just loaded to the brim with cash, okay? Over the next few days, and we'll go over this certain times, police find cars used in the robbery, they find vans, they find cash cages, they find all this shit. They find about $20 million in cash, U.S., in money just around. They have Murray's car that he crashed, and they start looking through his cell phone, and they find something very interesting. They find
more than dick pics.
They find way more than dick pics. They find a man who is not fucking about and his plans to not fuck about. So they find a recording, apparently either by accident or something. Lee had recorded, you can turn on the record button on your phone.
What an asshole.
Recorded a call he had with a man named Lee Rusha, who's a friend of him, and Leah Rusha, a friend of his and co-conspirator and a bunch of shit that they do. And they end up with getting a transcription of this call. They transcribed this call, and basically the lawyers, Murray's lawyers, deny that it's even him on the recording, which it's his phone and it's his voice and everything else. So he records this conversation about the robbery in their own words in the recording.
Oh, God.
Murray says, quote, "I can't show my face in there. Been in the newspapers and on the fucking telly, especially when I have my comeback fight. It'll be all over the newspapers, all over the national newspapers."
That's not him.
That's somebody else, right? Somebody else, right? No shit. So that's when they were trying to figure out how they would disguise themselves and things like that. The police believe that it's Murray and Rusha that were the original police impersonators that took Dixon hostage on the road and pulled him over. You need a steely nerve son of a bitch to be doing that.
You need a guy that's not afraid of a fight.
Absolutely, and that's, And if the guy didn't want to cooperate, he would have made him fucking put him in a coma.
Without a gun.
He'd have combed him, no problem. So they also believe that he was the robber they were calling Stopwatch, because of the stopwatch on his neck. They thought that because by his frame, by his demeanor, they thought that they're pretty sure.
The guy that's the steely nerve son of a bitch that's in charge.
And also, too, lots of people start getting busted, and I'm sure they know what happened here. So they find, days after the robbery, they find a car burned in a field. You want to bring much attention to it? This is like Craig Titus. We'll drive it out there and set it on fire. No one will notice.
These guys pulled off the
fire draws
heist
attention
in the world.
Yes.
And they masterminded it brilliantly.
Absolutely.
It was perfect.
Yep.
And they can't figure out how to fucking dismount? What assholes.
Well, Bruce Reynolds, who is the convicted mastermind of the 1963 Great Train Robbery, have you ever heard of that? He was the mastermind behind that. He said, quote, "That's what happens. All the planning goes into the robbery and none goes into what happens once you have the money."
Right.
And that's when shit falls apart. It's like Goodfellas, the Lufthansa heist. What happened? Johnny Roast Beef's buying a fucking fur coat and a giant Cadillac. You can't fucking do that. And he comes in, Jimmy Conway's like, "What the fuck are you doing? Send it back." He's like, "It's in my mother's name." He's like, "No, it doesn't matter if it's in your mother's name. You can't be flashing shit around, you fucking idiot."
How's your mom have money to fucking buy
That's
that, you
the problem.
dummy?
You don't be stupid here.
Right.
So, they're boasting. They're also boasting to their friends about their involvement because these guys are gangsters trying to act like they're cool. And this is, if they would have walked out with $5 million, probably wouldn't have been that big of a deal.
Right.
This was in the news over here, all over the world. It's the largest cash robbery in the history of the world.
That's crazy. I've
They're
never
gonna
heard any of this.
Yeah, me neither, but the police are going to want to solve that probably. They don't like it when you show them up, basically.
Right.
And that's the type of thing where you're like, you're kind of showing us up when you do shit like that.
You're
when
kind of
robbing.
dancing in the end zone.
Well, yeah, come on. That's you're twerking in the end zone. You can't be doing that.
You just took the ball and spiked it on our logo at midfield.
After you rubbed it on your taint like 4 times and made a face like you were moaning. That's not right. So
you just Randy Moss wiped your ass on our goalpost.
No, I remember that. So after a week, a makeup artist named Michelle Hogg, a woman here, Michelle Hogg, is arrested. And in connection to this whole thing, she said that she was too scared to say anything to tell the cops. She tells the cops, I'm too scared to tell you who these people are. They're going to kill me, blah, 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 blah. There was a £7 million bounty on her head at one point, so this broad was smart to think that.
They were going to kill her?
They suspect that she provided the facial hair to the robbers and the prosthetics and all that.
$7 million bounty for like arrest.
For killing her.
Oh, they were going to kill her.
The gang wanted her dead, so she shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
because she was the first one that was kind of whatever, the weak link, basically. They're looking at her. So they find a bunch of her makeup that is basically goes, which they would have used that night. And one of them had different names on these containers of makeup, and one of the containers had Lee M written on it. So
this bitch.
That's not great for old Lee Murray.
No wonder they wanted to kill her.
She messed that one up. So the police are also getting DNA off of all the makeup because she applied it on the face.
Brushed it on the face.
They make 3 more arrests out of this whole deal. On March 1st, 2006, they arrest John Fowler, Stuart Royal, and Stuart Royal's girlfriend, Kim Shackleton, in connection with the robbery, and they charge them with aiding this and conspiring this and all that sort of thing here. Kidnapping, this sort of shit.
Crimes,
So police end up locating both of the vans. One of the vans contained guns, ski masks, bandanas, and 1.3 million pounds in cash.
Good grief.
Not smart. The police then raid the home.
That's a dead giveaway.
That's a dead giveaway. Just the cash or just the ski masks, maybe. But both of them together,
That's like finding Ted Bundy's VW with the rape kit and DNA fucking all over it.
And a head in the trunk. Yeah. The fucking head in the trunk.
Holy shit.
And a photo of him fucking a dead woman. A Polaroid selfie of him like,
with a map of where the rest of the body
thumb
is.
up and shit. Terrible. So the police raid the home of Lee Rusha, who's the second cop that was in the whole deal here. In his bedroom, they find plans to the cash depot. So that's a bad sign.
Oh, God.
And in a nearby garage that belongs to him, they find a car with 8.6 million pounds in cash in it.
They just littered the town with all the money.
8.6 million. Suppose you're some fucking guy who just breaks into cars.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit.
I just hit the mother load. Fuck their tape deck.
Fuck that. Yeah. Fuck the CD player. We are going here, man.
I don't care what CD's in there. I'm running with this duffel.
Absolutely. So a British...
Somebody get me a forklift.
That's
a giant bag.
That's a lot of cash. That's a trunk full of cash.
Yeah.
Or a boot full of cash.
That whole car is just overloaded with cash. It's falling out of the glove box.
When he drives away, it falls out of the windows like when Cheech and Chong drive away, like when smoke pours. That's the same thing.
It's like that Geico commercial of the guy on the motorcycle when the flakes of money are just flying off his
falling
face.
off everywhere. So a British crime author, I just love this quote about it. This one British crime author who writes heist books and shit. He said of them, quote, a gang of misfits and bruisers pulled off the biggest robbery with considerable criminal aplomb, but they were also stupid. That was a brilliant caper which turned into a farce. That's the most British way to call you a dipshit I've ever heard in my life. He said criminal aplomb and turned into a farce. That's just beautiful. Turning a phrase like a motherfucker.
They were fucking about, though.
They were fucking about. Afterwards, they fucked all about. Fuck that. They fucked everything about. So now, Jesus Christ. So now Lee is on the run. The Dixons, the poor Dixons, and their little son Craig and Lynn and Colin, they're fucking traumatized
their life
forever.
Is fucked.
The Bank of England is $53 million lighter. Some guy probably has brain damage from a 6-day goddamn coma. Tito Ortiz is, forget about it. His fucking psyche is ruined now from getting
He's got to
beaten
lie
in a
for the
street
rest of his
fight.
life.
He's got to lie. His wife has had to watch him maul a man into a coma on Christmas fucking Day.
His daughter, for Christ's sake, watched it too.
And I feel bad for all these people, Jimmy. I feel bad for them. I really, really do. I feel bad for all these people, but not nearly as bad as I feel
This is so great.
for Lee Murray,
God.
a realtor for Action Rockingham in Australia. He's a 10-time top sales rep in Australia there. Lee Murray, a data science instructor at Galvanize Software in San Francisco, California. Lee Murray of Lee Murray Auctioneers in Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin.
How do they even find you to hire you, sir?
He is Wisconsin Registered Auctioneer number 53.
And
right
the bad
there.
part is that Lee was in Wisconsin several
Oh yeah,
times.
he could
fighting.
be. They think he's a murderer.
Yeah.
They don't fucking know. Lee Murray, financial advisor for Carey Street Partners in Fredericksburg, Virginia. He has more than a decade of experience as a financial advisor. Look him up if you're in
Probably
that area.
knows something about a lot of money.
Lee Murray, a woman author of science fiction and
female.
fantasy from New Zealand. She wrote a book called A Dash of Reality, which he could use.
Yeah.
I looked through all her book titles to find one that fucking... To find one that went with this story. I am such a fucking idiot. She's written a million books, too. I was looking through the title like a lunatic. Lee Murray, MD, neurologist serving the Western Tennessee area.
Wow.
And finally, Lee Murray, the atmospheric chemist and climate modeler for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration in New York City.
They could have used him. I
Holy
feel like that
shit.
smart fuck could have figured out what to do with all that
How
money.
not to get arrested with, how not to leave 9 million pounds in your car.
Right.
Yeah, that probably would have been smart. They could have used somebody to say that. So, February 25th, 2006 now.
Okay.
This is just a few days later. Murray fucking takes off. He's gone.
Yeah.
Leaves the country. He's got an ass full of cash and he's hitting the road. He goes to Morocco. He takes Paul the Enforcer Allen, the guy who threw the punch at Tito Ortiz's friend that started that melee and his childhood buddy there. They take him and put them. They put their car on a ferry to France. Wow. They float over to France. From France, they go to Amsterdam, to Spain, across the Straits of Gibraltar, and to Morocco.
Wow!
From there, yeah, they're just going on a vacation here.
We're out of here.
Going on a little holiday. How romantic!
They got plenty of money to cover the gas.
And they go to Morocco because if your father is born in Morocco, guess what you are? A Moroccan citizen.
Yes.
You're a Moroccan citizen, which also makes you not be able to be extradited to the UK because there's no extradition agreement between the two countries.
Oh, shit.
So that's why he takes off to Morocco. Otherwise,
he could have figured that shit out earlier.
He had it figured out.
Okay.
Just shit unraveled around him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he meant to do that.
I bet
if
he
that was
did.
the plan, but it seems like that was
think he
probably the
did.
plan. It would be smart to just go lay low, find somewhere to go lay low. He buys a $1.5 million house in Morocco in an upscale neighborhood around the corner from the king's cousin.
Oh my
That's
God.
the type of like diplomats and shit like that live in here. 1.5, it's like £1 million, $1.5 million for this in Rabat, which is the capital city of Morocco.
Okay.
His home, it spends another like fucking $500,000 putting hot tubs in and marble tile
Fixing
and
it
shit
up.
like that, and a giant life-sized mural of his one and only UFC fight against Rivera.
What?
Against Rivera, his UFC fight that he won, painted on his living room wall.
Wow.
The entire fucking
What a
wall.
douche.
What a douchebag.
That is so douchey.
Here's my mountaintop. He painted it on his fucking wall. Some of these guys, they keep it in them and
Right.
you can see it. This guy literally painted it on his
He
wall.
wanted
He
to
said,
look at it every day.
anyone who comes over, he said, want to see when I was at my best? Mountaintop right here. Now I'm in Morocco. I might be in a mansion, but I'm still in Morocco.
And think about, like, in Morocco, that kind of money probably goes a very long way.
I think it does. Now, the British at this point asked the Moroccan officials to keep an eye on him because they know he's involved in this and they want him. So they watch him for the next few months. Let's find out what he's up to during this while they're watching him. This is from an article from The Sun, this UK paper that went down there, somebody and a friend of theirs, and found out what's going on. Here's the quote from this article. This is him and Paul Allen. They staged nightly coke and champagne orgies with prostitutes at the $1 million villa they shared. Murray blew a fortune on other properties and flash cars as loot was laundered in casinos and invested in narcotics. The chums thought nothing of splurging on boob jobs and cosmetic surgeries for their malls, splashing out 17,000 pounds at a time.
What an idiot.
So they're just living like sultans, basically. Yeah. They're living like lunatics.
Where's his wife and kid?
In England still.
He left him there.
Yeah, they had to run. He's down there partying with prostitutes. The fuck's he need a baby? What's he need Lily Jane for?
Yeah.
You know, he's an asshole.
And if
anyway.
the prostitutes don't look how he wants, he'll put tits on them.
Let's just say it's better for the. We're making a distinction. If the father's shitty, it's better they leave when they're two. We're happy he's gone at this point. So, June 23rd, 2006. This is back in England now, not in Morocco. Police stop 2 cars on the road, and they recover $1 million in cash. And charged 2 men with money laundering. Out of the 2 cars, there were 2 people involved in that. Now, June 25th, 2006, Murray and Alan are in a mall, in a shopping mall, pissing money away in Rabat. Yeah, and it's a mega mall, they call it in Rabat. And they're shopping. Them and 2 other men were shopping. And the 4 of them were arrested because they had dozens of police officers sealed the place off, the mall off, because they know these guys are badasses. They don't know if they're armed, and they know they're great fighters, and they don't want to fight them, basically. Right. So they come with a small army, and they still try to fight them off. They still resist, but they're eventually taken into custody. They didn't have guns on them at the time.
Shit.
Basically, they were fighting back, though, they were charged with assaulting police officers. A Moroccan judge said they were, quote, beating and humiliating members of the security forces. So that's not cool over there. They're not okay with that.
They were showboating.
Yeah, they're showboating over there. Then he jumped on top of the cage and put his arms up. Said, we're not fucking about. So Murray at this point, so they arrest him. They check his house. He's got a shitload of cocaine at the house.
Of course.
And some weed, too. But he's got a shitload of cocaine. So they arrest him for cocaine possession and resisting arrest and assaulting police officers. Now, fall of 2006, this is a few months later, back in England, the makeup artist, Michelle Hogg, turns Queen's evidence. So that means she is spilling the beans, basically.
She's protected.
She explains how she made the disguises, who she made them for, which one went to who, so now they can pick them out from the camera shit. This was in exchange for her freedom, obviously.
Of course.
So they try to, UK at this point, they arrested him and they're going to try to extradite him. Now, there's extradition attempts at extradition are go on for a couple of years now.
Wow.
Okay. Murray claims his Moroccan nationality, and they agree. His attorney says he has full right to asylum there.
Yeah.
The Brits say that he could only get 10 years if he's tried in Morocco, because they could also try him for the British crimes in Morocco. The Moroccan government, if they agree to do that. But
really?
But he might only get 10 years, and they want him to get more because they're saying he's the mastermind of the whole thing. So
he's stopwatch.
Absolutely. Now, Murray, attorney here, and fucking silver-haired middle-aged white man extraordinaire, said, quote, the relationship between the King of Morocco and his subjects is strong, that there is no way that any court will give a decision to extradite him. Anybody whose father is Moroccan is Moroccan. According to what he tells me, he had nothing to do with this robbery. So, bullshit.
Where did he get all this money?
That's silver-haired middle. That's the other thing, too. Later on, a reporter asks him, what was the first thing you did when you got all that money? When you got out of there, was it like, yeah, I'm going to go buy this? What did you do? And he laughed and said, I was a millionaire long before the heist, my man. That was his quote. So he's like, dude.
I pretended like I've been there before because I was.
I put it in my trunk and I didn't buy I didn't buy a mink coat that week just to look good. So yeah, he's basically, they say that, when he was born, he's a Moroccan because his father was Moroccan. So February of 2007, this is insane. British authorities are so desperate to get him back, they offer to exchange suspected terrorist Mohammed Karbouzi for Murray. They're going to trade a suspected terrorist, a terrorist that the Moroccans want because he's a Moroccan. Yeah. They want to try him down there.
That's how much this money means.
That's how much It's not even the money. They need to show that if you mastermind that in our career, we'll take. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's an ego thing for the cops. They don't know if they're going to get the money back. So now February,
they're not.
They got a bunch of it back. They end up recovering about 20 million pounds out of that. Wow. So that's like more than a third. That's not too shabby, honestly.
53 is what they took.
Yeah,
they got.
That's not bad.
They got almost half.
That's not bad. I think shit, not too shabby. So February 2007, Murray is sentenced to 8 months in jail for the cocaine and resisting arrest in Morocco.
Yep.
So that's still what he's doing down there. Those are his charges down there. Now, back in England again, let's bounce back there. January 28, 2008, 5 defendants are found guilty in the heist. Now they're starting to prosecute these people, including Lee Arusha, his
the man's
buddy
wife,
there.
yeah.
Don't say a fucking... Not the wife, the guy who
the
was with him.
other guy, right.
Yeah.
The other cop.
The other cop, exactly. Between these 5, they're given over 140 years in prison between them.
Oh, they aren't fucking
Splitting
about.
up, yeah.
The judge is not fucking
No,
about.
they're not fucking about. Listen, a 7-month trial this was with over 200 witnesses. That is not fucking about.
No.
That is, they got their ducks in a row and
Yeah.
said, we are convicting these people.
200 people to talk.
They made sure.
Yeah.
There's no doubt of what happened. Also, the Dixons, the poor manager and his family, little Craig and poor Lynn, they go into protective witness custody also because they're scared shitless of these people, as they should be.
And they probably have nightmares.
I don't blame them. Now, the most English-named man I've ever heard, who's a prosecutor for the Crown, told the press this after court. His name is Nigel Pilkington. I'm sorry. That's like I fucking made it up, guys. Seriously. Come on.
He wears a monocle.
Nigel Pilkington? Holy fucking shit. Wow.
It's like the original English name.
Oh, my God. Nigel Pilkington?
Nigel.
He never doesn't have tea in his hand.
Nigel
Never.
Pilkington.
And a saucer. He's
And
got
he
them
has
both at all
terrible
times.
teeth.
Awful.
Terrible
The
teeth.
worst. Holy shit. So he tells us here, quote, the crime was, at heart, a crime of violence. This is not the end of the matter for these criminals. We intend to seize their ill-gotten gains wherever they may be. So, God damn it, we're taking these fuckers down. Their ill-gotten gains are over. So, at this point, a reporter does a piece for ESPN, and he asks a stupid question, but I thank you for this guy for doing this article because there's a lot of good information in it. Sean Asiel does an ESPN piece on Murray. Can't get a hold of Murray in jail over there, even though he's in prison. He still can't get a hold of him. He flies to London to talk to his friends. Says that Murray had already talked to everyone he talked to, basically, like knew he was there and told them not to talk to him.
Wow.
Murray won't talk to anybody. None of his friends will put the reporter in contact with Murray. They basically say that Lee asked them, the reporter, not to. The reporter also wanted to talk to his wife, and Lee told all of his friends to tell him their wives are off limits. Can't talk to my wife, basically. That's not going to happen. They all tell him in this article that Murray's trying to get a movie made about his life that actually Darren Aronofsky signs on to do.
It would be a great movie.
Darren Aronofsky signs on to do the movie. I mean, that's how much of it was going to be a big, giant hit, and it ends up not getting made. Because
it will be made eventually.
He pulled out because he didn't want to fuck up his case over there, basically. He thought it would interfere, and I think he wants to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
So the story is better if you see how it plays out.
See how
in
it
the
ends.
end. Let's see how he dies. What do you say? So basically, they're all telling him about his love of American gangster movies and all that shit. They're just trying to give him anecdotal shit about him, basically. They talk to Mark Epstein, his childhood buddy there.
Yeah.
And Epstein calls Murray in Moroccan prison and gets a hold of him right away on his cell phone, because Murray's got a cell phone in Moroccan prison.
What?
Absolutely. Tells the reporter that Murray isn't ready to talk, but he says that he can ask him one question. So this guy says he froze. He didn't know what to ask.
Yeah.
He didn't want to ask him, did you do it?
Right.
He thought that would be like
all
a
that's
shit
gonna be is
question.
no.
So he froze, and the first thing that came to him is, what is your favorite movie?
That's it.
Like a douchebag who doesn't know what to say on a blind date.
yeah.
Like, what's your favorite movie
like an
then?
asshole on Match.com's invite to chat.
He said Gotti, the bank job, and Scarface, in case
gave him
you're
3.
curious. He gave him 3. He
Yeah.
said, I can't, it's a tie, is what he told him. So 3 shitty
I
movies,
overdid
honestly.
it with my answers.
So,
there you go.
There
Gotta
you go. That's all you get. Have a good one. So Epstein says that he thinks that he won't get extradited back to the UK at this point because, he says he still thinks he might slip out from under these charges. He says, quote, he's like a cat. He's got 9 lives. I've seen him get out of some major scrapes.
Yeah.
So he's like, I got confidence in this guy. He's a bad motherfucker. And in Moroccan jail, when they finally figure out what he's doing, he's in solitary over there while he's awaiting whatever, sitting over there. He's writing letters to Militich and other fighters back and forth, and they all have
line
letters.
up his next date.
Yeah, he's bored. He's talking to people like, hey, how's it going over here? He says of prison, in their own words, he's fine with it, obviously. He says, quote, everybody is respectful, especially the guards. They joke about stuff and treat me like a friend from the outside, offer me to eat with them. It's better than being in a UK prison any day. He's just fine. He's like, I'm good.
It's gorgeous here.
I'm good now.
Yeah.
That's fine. This is good. He's got all sorts of shit. He gets busted June 15th, 2009. He has a little bit of a scrape with the Moroccan prison police here. He gets caught with a laptop with internet. He's not allowed to have the internet. He can have a phone.
Yeah.
He can have TV, DVDs, even porns, they say. He's got porn in his cell. Because if you're good, apparently, and if you slip a guy a couple of bucks, because he even says, you know, what we make in a day, they make in a month, these guards. He's like, so he basically, you know, sort of hinted like, I get special treatment because I throw him a couple bucks.
I make their lives better.
He also had a laptop with internet he got caught with. Oh, and 5 kilos of cocaine.
What?
5 kilos of cocaine.
Prison? That's so much money.
That's a shitload of cocaine in prison. You can't slip that in up somebody's ass.
No, you've got to carry that in your belly.
In a fucking bag or something. You have
to have that in a fat suit.
Jesus Christ, I would say so. So he's moved to a different cell. So while he's moved to a different cell, another prisoner who didn't like him because he had fancy shit went in to try to steal some of his shit.
Oh no, that was a bad idea.
Well, he finds a plate of biscuits, cookies for you U.S. people, with a bunch of small saws in them. He has a bunch of tiny little saws that he's going to saw the bars off with, and it makes sense because over the last few months he's been starving himself, Lee Murray, and getting thinner and thinner and thinner so he could fit through the bars.
Wow.
Literally so he could fit through the goddamn bars. He's been losing weight.
He's a slippery son of a bitch. They said that about him.
Yeah, that's right. He's got 9 lives.
Right.
He was going to saw the bars off with these little saws and do this insane,
Slide out like Billy the Kid.
So at this point, he's busted. First of all, he's in a Moroccan prison, which seems as low as you get, but now he's busted for cocaine and trying to get this shit. I mean, when they put him in the solitary cell after that, the other cell, it wouldn't surprise me if when he walked in, the shawarma man was there. And he said, how is it? How is it you've come to arrive here, huh? Why are you here? Why are you here? Signs say closed. Signs say closed. You come anyway. Why are you here? I don't understand why you. I don't even want to make you shawarma. No shawarma. I make you. I make for you. I make for you. I make. It's fine. Hey, you want lamb? I give you lamb. Signs say closed. You come. Why you come?
Oh, this is so fun.
Shawarma man apologized last week. I couldn't. Stanley Wilson. I could be around Stanley Wilson. No good. Too much. The cocaine.
Shawarma man has a problem.
Shawarma man used to have problem. Let's just say Shawarma man had problem in past.
Shawarma man got past it though.
I say I can't be. I know myself. I can't be around. I say no. Sorry, Stanley. No, sorry.
No steamer.
I say sorry, Jimmie. Sorry, James. Crime and sports. Sorry, I can't. I can be there this week. Sign say close. Serious. Sign say close. I can't come. No, sorry, I can't go. So he's there. Shawarma man's there. June 24th, 2009. He's released from a Moroccan prison.
What?
Because he served his time for the drugs and the assault. He's released from a Moroccan prison. He walks out the door, and June 24th, same day, 2009, he's rearrested by the Moroccans. Same day. They literally took him to court, and they said, yes, you're a Moroccan national. You're free to go. Right. He walks out of the court. They arrested him again, took him right back in. So he's right back in. The British are trying to extradite him. His attorney said that, quote, Lee was indeed rearrested right away because the British authorities did put in a formal request to the Moroccan authorities to have him tried in Morocco for the alleged robbery.
So they're going to try him
They're going to try him down there. Now, when they bust him, they still have Paul Allen. He's not a Moroccan citizen.
No.
The old enforcer here gets extradited back to the UK, tried and sentenced to 18 years in jail. So he's fucked. Imar Heisenaj, the inside man with the belt buckle camera, ends up getting 20 years for his part in the whole deal.
Most.
He got 20. Yeah, he's fucked. So the mother, Barbara, at this point, Barbara Murray, Lee Murray's mother here, says she talks to the press in 2009. She's a character, this lady. She said, quote, if he had those millions, he'd have paid the judges off and bought himself out of there by now. Everything in Morocco works on bribes. You can pay anyone off. Do you think I'd still be living here and going to work if Lee had all that money? That lady's great. She's just a drunk old British lady. Doesn't give a fuck. I don't care. You think I'd be working? Shit, no. I'd be so drunk I'd be pissing myself in my own living room. So, June 2010, Murray is sentenced to 10 years in Moroccan prison for the UK cash heist, right? Seems normal. So, he's in prison. He's hanging out there. This is in June. He gives an interview via text message at this point to somebody.
That's weird.
Because he can text from Moroccan prison.
Yeah.
He says, the only thing I found of any interest, it was all about UFC shit. And then finally the guy asked him whether, because there are now people are wearing at this point free Lee Murray t-shirts around
Really?
England.
He's got fans?
Yeah, he's a crazy person there, and he had this huge heist. He's a famous
folklore.
He is like Dillinger now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's there to have free Lee Murray. So the guy said, if I send you a free Lee Murray t-shirt, will you wear it? And he says, quote, in their own words, would I wear it? I'd look like a right cunt walking around the prison wearing a free me t-shirt. I would wear a free OJ one if you sent me that. Smiley face. Because he had to put an emoji because it's a fucking text message. Unreal,
That's
right?
so funny.
I'd wear a free OJ shirt. So
He
he's
looks like a right cunt.
the right cunt. After all this, that's the thing that makes him the biggest asshole of any of it. So November 30th, 2010, he has an appeal of his sentence, and the Brits are also asking the Moroccans, can they give him more time, since apparently over there, if you appeal something, you can get less time, you might also get more. It's like that in England, too. Remember the Gavin Grant case, they did that. So appeals are risky over there.
That's terrifying.
You have something to lose.
Right.
So he is...
They should adopt that in America.
It'd be... I don't think I like that law, but
That's awesome.
Well, what if... Yeah, I don't know. There's some cases that might not be the best. So... Anyway, they're asking for more, so the Moroccans oblige, and they say, fuck it, have another 15, Lee. You, sir, may fuck off.
He got 25?
25 in the can now.
Oh, my God.
They're stuck in there.
That makes you not want to appeal again.
Yeah, you're like, I'm good.
I'm good now.
I'm good in a whole different way.
I am definitely not fucking
so
about
good
ever
now.
again.
Definitely not. So January 2012, a couple of years go by, it is discovered by prison officials and the world that Lee has fathered a child from prison.
What?
Okay. It's believed that he impregnated a woman in January 2010. The baby was born in October 2010. Not his wife.
Yeah.
Now, in Morocco, they will allow conjugal visits if you're a good behavior and if you throw a couple bucks in the thing. They'll allow conjugal visits, but only with your wife, because it's, they're pretty strict down there.
So what did they do?
It's strict, and they said marriage documentation has to be given and everything like that.
So he forged that shit?
I don't know. He just paid somebody a little extra and had some broad come in, and he was fucking plowing her in the other cell there. So they move him to his high security unit. He had all his luxuries taken away, cell phone, DVDs, no visitors, nothing,
porn.
right? His child, like I said, born in Kent, England in 2010. It was an English woman coming down there.
Coming down to Morocco.
Yep, listed on the birth certificate as the father. She's now denying it. She's going, no, just because it's on there doesn't mean it's... She literally said, just because it's on the birth certificate doesn't mean that it's true. What the fuck did you write it for? Do you know someone else that's writing people's names down? Who should I put as the father? How about that prisoner in Morocco?
Right.
I think he'd make a good guy.
The guy that was the largest heist in the world history.
Absolutely.
I'll make him be the father.
Before we close this out, let's get a quote from Lee Murray. And actually, too, he's saying he's been training now, like recently. He's fought hundreds of sparring rounds. He said he spars constantly. There's a couple guys down there that he can spar with.
Right.
And he wants to fight again. And he's saying that he's probably going to get released soon. Because if they're going on a UK-based sentence, Paul Allen just got out of prison.
What?
Paul Allen was released after 6 years in prison. So he's saying, well, he just got out on 6 years and he had 18. I did 20. I got 25 now, and I've already done this. We're fucking... I'm going to get out soon.
As far as I'm concerned.
He's literally trying to set up a fight.
Wow.
With Reed. Reed is his name.
Meanwhile, he's 39 right now.
Yeah, he's trying to set up a fight because I'm sure he just wants... I don't know, attention.
Yeah.
So he says this sums up everything of him right here. In their own words, him summing up everything, his whole life. It's the most beautiful thing. In their own words, quote, "The day is written for me when I'm going to die. My day is written, and that's the way I believe. It's not changing what I do in my life. I think the day is already written for when I'm going to die, and that's that. I don't think I can change the way I am. That's me. If I wasn't like that, I wouldn't be the fighter I am, and I wouldn't be who I am." He's like, I am's what I am. That's it. He pulled a fucking Popeye. I am's what I am.
What I am.
I am's what I am. So
meanwhile, I think the day you were supposed to die was the day you were stabbed in the fucking chest.
In the heart and head? Yeah, probably.
That was the day. You're on borrowed time, sir.
Now, here's something great. LondonShootFighters.com. That was the first gym you went to. They have a website, shootfighters.com. They have a profile of all their fighters. They have a profile still up of Lee Murray, and it reads, holy fuck, this is amazing. It reads, quote, Jesus, I can't even get it out with a straight face. Quote, Lee is known as one of the world's most dangerous middleweight fighters. He is currently on hiatus, taking time off in Morocco. No, he's not. Okay, no, he's not. Prison is not a fucking hiatus, okay? It's not.
I got a feeling the World Boxing Federation didn't have Mike Tyson up there
Holy shit.
Taking a hiatus.
No. In Urban Dictionary, there is a free Lee Murray entry where they explain who he is, and he's too much of a badass to be in any prison, basically, and it's all about the Tito Ortiz thing. He's legendary as, like, the baddest motherfucker on earth, basically, this guy. I mean, he's known.
Don't they have, like, Action Bronson in England in prison?
I don't know anymore. I don't know.
That guy with the beard, that's the most feared man in prison.
Yeah,
and this guy is just as bad.
And also, too, if you cannot get enough of Lee Murray and you want to show support for Lee Murray, you can go on Facebook, Lee Murray, quote, The Lightning Fan Club. There's a fan club on there. Absolutely.
How many people are members of it?
I did not see.
I need to look at that.
It's
That's
fucking amazing. That's Lee Murray. Holy shit.
And he may get out someday.
That guy is going to come and find us, and we are fucked. So, guys.
He will not be fucking about.
No, he will not be fucking about at all. He's going to be fucking us about, and it's going to be terrible.
Doubt.
So, wow, guys, that's Lee Murray. He's a blast,
I have
man.
Sweat on my brow.
So do I.
So much.
That was a lot of fuckery.
Yeah.
The nickery
so much
filled the room, man. I'm telling you guys.
like 53 million pounds would.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to do some shout-outs in a second here. First, before that, if you want to get shout-out, one of the ways we can do shout-outs, and please just the iTunes reviews. That's the most important thing. You can give us a few bucks on patreon.com/
Lori DeWalt did it.
Thank you so much, Lori. That means so much because honestly, it costs money to put on the show and stuff. And now we're just starting to get sponsors and all this now. We have a really cool sponsor coming on November that you guys are going to love.
Pretty pumped about it.
Pretty cool, yeah. So that's coming up. But honestly, guys, the iTunes reviews are the best thing you could do for us. Please give us 5 stars. Say you're following instructions. Say something cool or shitty or say we're twats. We don't care. Just do whatever. Do that for us. And also, too, if you want to say hello to us and get a shout-out this way, you can get a hold of us on Twitter at Crime and Sports, crimeandsports@gmail.com, facebook.com/crimeandsports. And you want to give them your...
I am at Whisman Sucks, WHISMAN Sucks, for everybody in Wisconsin that is upset that I called your women
Jimmie.
cows.
And I'm at Jimmie P. is funny. You can find us there. And now let's do some shout-outs. Shout some people out.
And for all your cricket needs, go to pythoncricket.com.
Python Cricket.
They are amazing
badass
people.
cricket bats, guys.
Yeah.
They're awesome. Support them. They're in England. They're a local company over there, guys. So please
They build an
them.
unbelievable bat.
They make a really nice bat, and they support us. And so, guys, help them out for doing that. Thank you, guys.
And then our 4 horsemen, Wedbetter, Monge, Busby, and Astoria Sean. Those guys are awesome.
We love them.
And Jason Fuller makes memes every fucking
He's
week.
the best.
Did you see the Cincinnati bench
I did.
meme?
That
so
was great.
funny.
That was
so funny. Patty Wooten makes a shit ton of memes, too. Megan Ba, I think that's her name. It's B-A with an ellipses after it.
Okay.
It's very strange. B-A. Katie Hayes, Jenna Marie Wells, the fantastic people.
Love you guys. Jay Wellesley, too.
Yeah.
Jay Wellesley.
Yeah.
She's great.
That's Jenna Marie Wells.
Oh, that's right. You're not a bad mom, by the way. God damn it. No, you're a good mom.
Listen up.
Yeah, she asked us.
Rory Tulloch, or Tulloch? I think it's Tulloch.
Yeah.
That's probably it. Matt Lukasik confessed some very serious things to us.
Yes.
He's an ex-soldier, ex-army man that has PTSD and a couple of problems.
And we'll be doing
extracurricular.
We're doing an episode about him soon. No, I'm just kidding. We love you, dude. Thank you so much for listening.
We are his guilty pleasure that helps him keep his fucking mind right. So thanks for listening, Matt.
Thank you, guys.
And thanks for your service, brother. Rocky Newton, John Taylor, Mop Jockey. I don't even know what the fuck. That's
Jockey.
not a name.
I don't know.
Mop Jockey.
They've been
Gina Nation.
cool
I don't know
us.
if that's her real name.
Love Gina Nation.
Yeah. And J.D. Bound, Ricky Ward, and the good Rev, Jonathan Gilliard, cried.
The good Reverend Jonathan Gilliard.
We laughed him to tears last
that made
week.
me so happy. That picture warmed my heart. You understand? I woke up and saw that and just went, "Oh, that's so nice." I actually smiled.
A large Southern black man smiling through tears.
My black heart had a slight gleam to it, I gotta say. I was like, that's sweet. This is the first time I've said that in 6 months.
That's
so,
the listeners
good job.
that I adore this week. Thank you guys so much for conversating and keep taking the time to talk to each other. Yeah,
friend
that's
each other,
awesome.
do shit, follow each other.
So cool.
And guys, keep telling your friends. At this point, we don't have a network. We're two comics. We're not journalists. We don't have anybody that's got our back. It's you guys that put this out.
We're just sitting here fucking about.
That's it. We're fucking about. We're not fucking about. The crime and sports movement is not fucking about. So thank you guys. Join us next week for more insane fuckery.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.